And we are live. Well, recording live on this wonderful Sunday morning, July 28th. It's me and Darth Pat. Because guys, you guys are just so used to seeing these two beautiful faces. Why the hell have Jeremy on anymore? Coach Jeremy's got other obligations. The kids have kidnapped him again this weekend for basketball. But shenanigans. But you have us two lovely folks here.
Obligations and responsibilities.
What are those? Who cares? Jeez. Make it seem like it's such a big deal, like everyone has to do it.
Obligations. Ha! I laugh at obligations, which is why I'm in, not
What?
exactly a position of management or leadership.
It's 2024. Screw obligations. Just roll with your life.
I
Why
mean, isn't
put
that what a lot of
yourself
us
in?
have said since COVID?
I know,
Pretty
like
much.
why put yourself in such harm's way
Nobody
of
wants to.
obligations?
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
nobody wants to work anymore. It's like when you go through a fast food
Uh,
drive-through. It's like, why does this take 10 minutes now? Oh, that's right, because nobody's working at these places anymore.
oh my God. It is, dude. The fast food places. Man, I miss the olds. I miss drive-throughs pre-COVID. Really, really, I do. I
Oh,
go
I
to
would. Yeah,
any
I
any
went through a drive-through a
drive-through.
couple days ago, and it only took like 2 minutes, and I was shocked. I was like, oh my
I
god.
so after esports yesterday, I was like, asked my son, like, what do you want for dinner? He's like, oh, and he's rambling off. I was like,
Years.
how about DQ? I'm just gonna get myself you know, not really, I wasn't really hungry at the time, so got his food. And they used to have a mango, their slushy things. And I didn't like they had rearranged their board. And I ordered it. And he goes, "Oh, we don't have that." I was like, "Oh, well, they have two different things where it's like mango flavored." I was like, "Do you have the other mango?" He goes, "Oh, no." He goes, "We don't have anything mango related anymore." And I was like, "Oh." And I'm like, "Shit." So I asked for the next flavor I would get, and they don't have that flavor anymore either. So it's only like four. And I'm looking at the board. I'm like, "Oh, you guys really got reduced." He was like, "Yeah, we made some changes." And I'm like, "Well then, um." I'll take the cherry limeade. Not my greatest, but it's like maybe my fourth favorite on that list. I'm like, I'll take the cherry limeade. I don't mind that. So that's what I got. But like I'm looking at the menu then as he said that, and I'm like, hmm, like the ice, this is Dairy Queen. They had their food, but it's, ice cream related desserts, right? And I'm just looking at it and I'm like, yeah, it looks like they got rid of a lot of shit. So Nico, he goes on his phone, he pings up, he's like, yeah, the website doesn't have any of the stuff that you used to, you used to get on here anymore. And I'm like, well, hot damn. Um, that was just one thing, but there's a couple. Now I don't eat as fast food as much as I used to. It's very rare, but like if Nico wants something, there's a Burger King we go to. I like my Whopper Junior, so I'll get like one or two. We go to that one. The guy and there's a guy and a female. They talk so fucking fast. How can I help you today? Yeah, can I get the Whopper Junior? Okay, is there anything else? What you order? Yeah, that's what. I'm just I'm like what? What? I don't even know what the fuck he said. And when he tells you, it's like I feel like I'm talking to a guy, an auction guy, like railing off prices for cars and shit at an auction. That's why I feel like I'm talking to you in this speaker, and I'm like, he says what the
2000, down the 2000, another one, 2000, I'm gonna get 2100, gonna get 2100, 2100, 2200, gonna get 2200.
and it was crazy because I'm like, how much was that again? He goes, he rambles it off, and I'm like, yeah, I still don't understand what the fuck you just said. So I just pull around, and he gives me the price, and he's a
Yeah,
nice dude.
yeah.
They're both nice, but they're like, they speed talk like there's no, you could tell how many cars are behind me, like one. There's just you're not busy. Like, why are you speed talking? The drive-throughs are just all over the place and very random. Um, there's many a times now, man, if I do go through something and it's kind of like I'm ordering for a bunch of people or, have like a bigger order for whatever, um, like, can you please pull around? We're making your food fresh for you right now. I
Oh, how
appreciate that.
nice.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
But
That
it's not
means you
fresh,
have
it's fresh frozen.
I appreciate that, which means you have half of my food made and the rest of it you gave to somebody else and now you have to make new, so you got me to wait. So it's okay.
Yeah. So like, so I'm gonna say two things about this. So like last Sunday, I think it was, I went to the Wendy's that's down the street on Stefco Boulevard.
Oh,
I
okay.
had stopped at Giant first to get gas and to get like one or two things from the store, which I think included milk. Uh, and it's 90 degrees outside, 85, whatever the fuck it's been. Uh,
Just how it spoke.
I don't even really care about what it is anymore. I basically just, it's like I go outside, it's hot. It's late July, it's hot, it's the hottest fucking year on record, but that's another story. Anyway, so I placed
My
an order
electric
like
bill
through,
feels it, believe me.
yeah, so I placed the order through the app to make sure that I got some deal, which I think was like 2 for 6 or something like that. So I was getting like two chicken sandwiches, you know. Um, so I pulled into the drive-through. There was like one car like at the window. There was no cars in the thing. So I pulled up and I said hi. I placed an online order. They're like, okay, pull around. So I get up to the window then, and they're like, oh, we're making the chicken right now. Can you just pull around to the side of the restaurant? So I did that. There was like already one car there waiting, and then another car pulls in behind me, pulls into a space, and like the person comes out and like gives the food to the car in front of me, and then the person comes out and she brings me a bag, and I can already tell when she's bringing it out to me the bag is too big because all I ordered were the two chicken sandwiches. And sure enough, I open up and I just peer into it real quick, and yeah, there's like a lot of stuff in there that isn't mine, and I just go, oh wait, this isn't mine. All I had was two chicken sandwiches. So I think it was like the food of like the person who pulled into the space behind me. Yeah. But then I'm sitting there waiting for like another like 5 or 6 minutes before they finally ran out. I was like 2 seconds away from just pulling my car into a space and walking inside saying, hey, is my food still coming?
Yeah.
Luckily, I
Yeah.
didn't have to do that because I would have been really, really annoyed by that. But it's just like, I was just like, this is weird because I ended up waiting like 5 or 6 minutes after they told me, oh, we're making it right now. It's like, damn, takes a while to put those fucking chickens in the fryers, huh? Um, Now, about your thing at DQ. So we're saying that they don't have those flavors, period, like anymore, like going forward. It wasn't like we're temporarily out. It's like we don't have them anymore.
They're off their menu, like the
Okay.
mango flavors, and there was a couple other things Nico
Uh,
noticed that like he used to get, and something else that I would get that's no longer on their menu.
Okay. So it's no longer the menu. Oh, that's right. You said that he was looking on the website.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. But it's still on the menu at the drive-through.
One of them was, but the other one was. The other two weren't.
Okay. You think that they would have the courtesy then to go black it out,
Or do
put some
something.
tape over it, whatever. Because what I've seen, like a lot of the McDonald's now have electronic menus, which is great
Hmm.
because if something's out, they can like type something in, program something in,
They're
and
really they're cool.
it
They
will have
definitely
like a
are.
crossover and it'll say like back soon or something. But
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, they don't have it now for whatever reason, but that's fine. So you know that right then when you're trying to order, you may not have known it ahead of time. So like you were anticipating ordering it, but you can say, oh, they don't have it. I'll have to get something else. Even the McDonald's though that I've seen that don't have electronic boards, electronic menus at the drive-through, if they're out of something, they usually do a pretty good job of indicating that on the menu. So you're not ordering it and then they have to say, oh, we're out of it, you know?
Yeah.
So you would think that if they have something that's permanently no longer on the menu, they would have just real quick said, taken like the 5 minutes or so to go scratch it off in the fucking menu. It's like,
And it was
again, I
weird.
know fast food jobs suck. You're on your feet all day.
Uh,
You're getting paid nothing for it. But you got to think that you should be able to do that. That's just kind of common courtesy to your guests for crying out loud.
and it's
You
weird
know?
because like the menu board itself looked new. Like the whole layout was new and everything, but I don't know if it was some last minute decision where they kept it on, but then all of a sudden decided to not. I don't know.
Yeah,
Nonetheless,
because that's
it was just, it
that's a
was like,
situation where the menu could have been made ahead of time of them taking it off the menu,
yeah, yeah.
which especially with like fast food places because they're all franchised, you can't really ever be sure who's responsible for that,
Yes.
but still it's just you think you just have the courtesy just go like, yeah, like okay, we don't have this. So so the guest knows ahead of time so you don't have those annoying situations of, oh, I'd like to get the passion fruit smoothie. It's like, oh, we don't have passion fruit anymore. And
I
why are
know.
you ordering a passion fruit smoothie anyway? I want to use some kind of nutcase trendy hipster from Southern California. I
You
don't know where that came from. I just riffed.
sound like some San Diego shit right there.
Oh yeah, I said Southern California, so yeah. Oh yeah,
Uh,
I guess I was getting dangerously close to the Californians from SNL, with
hmm,
Fred Armisen, Bill Hader, and Kristen Wiig with the voice like, get on the 405 and get out of here.
it's always funny though. Oh, look at this. D Wade is going to be on commentary today for the U.S. team.
D Wade,
D Wade. Look, D Wade.
I still always remember the time when he was still in college at Marquette and they played Notre Dame, and Notre Dame, one of their prize recruits from the time, Chris Thomas, the point guard, totally shut him down that game, and then Chris Thomas never became anything.
Stuff happens in college.
I should go find the box score of that game though, just to see what Wade's stats for that game were though, because I remember he did have a pretty miserable game. I remember watching most of that on, I think it was on ESPN. Shit, that was like fucking 23 years or so ago now.
That was decades ago, my man,
It most certainly was.
for sure. Um, yeah. So yeah, fast food, great. Um, I don't know. So
I,
it'll
I'm
be
trying. I've honestly been trying to cut down on fast food, mostly because of cost and just
yeah.
not
Oh,
having to eat,
absolutely.
But
And and the
and
thing
it's
about
like every once in a while I'd be like, oh man, I haven't had this in so long. I'd really like to get it. And then the inevitable thing usually when I go do it is like, it ends up being kind of shit.
yeah,
Like I went to Arby's a few nights ago, mostly because I had to stop at the grocery store to get something, and the Arby's is kind of right there. And I got a beef and cheddar, and they had potato cakes again.
I
So I
could
got the
see.
potato cakes instead of like fries. The potato cakes were too salty. Like they weren't like
Not
so
surprised.
salty that they couldn't be eaten, but there was like, okay, there's too much salt on this.
Yeah.
And then something was wrong with the beef and cheddar. Like it wasn't like as good as I was thinking it was going to be. And it's like, why are you complaining about fast food? It's fucking fast food. It's like, yeah, but even fast food, there's a certain standard to which it should be, and sometimes it just isn't.
Right.
So
We so we don't eat a lot of fast food anymore, period. We haven't for years. But one of the things though, as far as fast food, like McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Taco Bell, what's one of the other ones? That's the big ones, right? Like Arby's.
Arby's, KFC,
I would say like
Chick-fil-A.
those specifically. I can tell you on two hands how many times we've gone to those places in the past 5 years. Really, like living in a different state. You know, I don't want to say fast food, but like the places we go to are like more of the southern places where it's more chicken oriented, like Zaxby's,
Hmm.
um, Biscuitville,
Do you have
Bo
a what's it
Bojang,
called?
Boj
Canes or Raising Canes down around where you are?
not by me. I think there's some on the other side of the state.
There's one
Um,
that's opening around, I say around here, not around Bethlehem so much, because I think it's over in like more like Hamilton Boulevard area. I think I saw there's one
hmm,
coming in soon. And I'm almost kind of like, oh, I should go there because I've never had it before just to see how it is. But like, I don't even know how close it is to my office. I still
yeah.
haven't gone to the freaking Smash Burger that's not that far away from my office. So
I saw that too. Smithfield's Chicken is another place too that we go to. And I don't, like Zaxby's considered fast food, but it's chicken oriented and stuff like that. Smithfield's not really fast food, but they're kind of like more sit down places, but they have drive-throughs and their chicken, Southern food type of stuff is like
yeah,
at the fast food things we do, and that's even far and few between. But I'm very picky. I don't like eating a lot of that fast food shit, for multiple reasons. We're getting older and all that shit, and all those other, cholesterol and diabetes and all that other jazz. So stay away from all that. But we eat the southern ones. I they could be just as bad. I don't know, but I like chicken, so I go. Living down south's always good for chicken and shit like that. The chicken places, Hardee's is another one. There's like no real Hardee's up in Pennsylvania. There's several down here, and when
yeah.
we moved down here, we tried the Hardee's. It wasn't bad, but it's not like, oh, I'm clamoring for some Hardee's. No, no, it's yeah, whatever. To be honest with you,
See, I
we
I
we find
had
more or less
yeah,
like
I
we
I
find
had
more or
good
less like
memories of Hardee's.
restaurants and stuff like that we like to go to.
I had good memories of Hardee's from when we used to vacation uh, in the South. Back in the '90s, like we go on North Carolina trips to North Carolina, the beach there, and everything. Um, like I go to I don't know where the hell the closest Hardee's is. I think maybe York, which
Oh
is not
wow.
exactly near.
Nah.
Like if I go to Hardee's website, okay, and I type in my old zip code, but it doesn't really much matter. It's the same general area. Um, sorry, there are no Hardee's near your near your locations. Let me
Hmm.
just try this real quick because yeah, York, PA, York, Pennsylvania. Oh yeah, okay. So there's a few around there. There's one in a couple that are set in York and yeah, but it's like for whatever reason, yeah, Hardee's just is not in the Northeast, So
Yeah, not a big place. Yeah, but we first off, we really try not to eat out, period. You know, just because it is, even when we go to Zaxby's, like, the three of us go to Zaxby's, it's like $37, and that's
yeah,
just for like nothing crazy, just like three value meals for like chicken tenders and French fries and coleslaw and some bread, some, French bread type of stuff. So or sliders or whatever, buffalo chicken sliders. But it's just pricey, dude. It's just not in
yeah,
my wheelhouse anymore.
yeah, and it's not just like oh, things today are gonna cost more than they did 10, 20 years ago. Duh.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious.
And it's not just like, oh, it's inflation because of politics, because I'm not going to get in that rabbit hole. No, it's these people are fucking greedy.
Yeah.
It's like, anytime you want to hear about, like, that's like anytime you want to hear things about, I hear the political ads and they're accusing whoever, and both sides can do this, of course, but it's mostly been coming from one side to the other. And I think we all know which side. Uh, oh, his reckless spending led to the current inflation crisis. It's like, all right, okay. Why is every corporation pretty much still reporting like record profits and their CEOs are being paid, 450 times what the average employee makes? And I think that number might even be below and shit. So it's like, no, it's like it's greedy fucking corporations too. I know we're still
Mm.
like, we
They
haven't
set
got
the
back,
tone.
we still haven't gotten back to like pre-COVID in so many ways. And like, I think also at this point,
COVID's an excuse for a lot of people anymore these days too. No
right. But
matter
I
if
think at this
it's
point too, it's like,
all the way up the ladder.
4 years later, you just can't do nothing's going to be the way it was pre-COVID anymore. It's
No.
just not, you know. So we got to figure out how we do this going forward. But just everything going up in costs, whether it's food costs, rent, energy, whatever. It's yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I'm trying to eat more cheaply, like frozen stuff. Like I get like lean cuisine and healthy choice shit. And but some nights just like, oh, I'm just gonna have cereal tonight. Oh, I'm just gonna have peanut butter and jelly tonight. Oh, I'm just gonna make grilled cheese.
Yeah.
You know,
I think I'm gonna rock some grilled cheese later today.
it's like
Honestly.
there's an Outback just up the road from me, as you well know.
Yep.
And many times over the last couple of weeks, I've thought, oh, I could really go for some Outback. And I realized, but I go to Outback and order everything I want. It's going to cost me $50 for myself.
Yeah.
And while I know that the food's going to be good and everything, it's like, can I justify spending that much on me for one meal? It's like
Mhm.
when I get a pizza and the local pizza place I go to calls like $20 for a large pie now. It's like, and that's for me to go pick it up, not to have it delivered. I pretty much like, you know what? It's worth the 10 to 15 minutes and the little bit of gas it'll take me to drive up there and come back. I can afford to like because obviously if you're ordering stuff via delivery, you're basically saying the cost that I'm going to pay for delivery fees and tips and those other fees that the apps add on is worth my time.
Mhm.
Well, that's about 10 to $12 now. If
Yeah.
I want to place an order through Slice for the pizza place, that's a 5 minute drive.
Yeah. And those
If
places
it's
are
even
expensive
that.
as fuck now these days too.
And so I'm like, so 5 minutes to drive there, maybe a couple minutes for them to finish making it or give it to me or whatever. 5 minutes to drive back home. Is that worth like a $6 delivery charge, $3 or $4 in tips, $2? No, it's not. So,
Dude,
and the other thing,
honest,
of course, too, is if I go there and I order a large pizza, that's two meals, you know.
yeah.
So it helps justify the cost a little bit that way too.
I there have been certain frozen pizzas that I like, um, that I like to get and to make, and then some of the pizzas. So I know Walmart does this in their food area, and I know like some of the local food places down here, like Food Lion and
Food Lion.
Harris Teeter and whatnot, where they have their own pizzas, like pepperoni and sausage, cheese, margaritas. And I've tried several, and they're like maybe 8, 9, $10 or whatever. Those are good. I don't mind making my own pizza in the oven. I have several different types of pizza pans, so I'm able to slide them on there and whatnot. But sometimes I just will get like one or two of those for us to eat instead of going out because like I go on the app, like we have a Marco's Pizza and some of the other pizza places, and it's just kind of like,
Marcos
damn.
is decent. I've had it one time, but it was decent.
Yeah. It's kind of maybe I feel like it's better than Little Caesars, but not as good as like maybe Pizza Hut. I'm just using Pizza Hut as an example. Um, but yeah, they
Well, I
have
mean,
to
it's chain pizza, so that's all you can compare it to.
yeah, yeah, really Domino's, Papa John's, whatever. But yeah, I mean it's a decent chain pizza place. But it's just like sometimes I'd rather go to the store and get those types of pizzas and make them in the oven. Because like I said, I don't mind, doing that per se and all that stuff. Oh, my thing just beeped. If you heard a noise, it was my Alexa letting me know that my package will be arriving between 2 and 6 p.m. today. So, yes,
Isn't that always exciting?
I guess.
I always love being told that my package is coming.
Yeah, coming or going. Oh, let's see. Starting lineup for the USA Today team: Drew Holiday, Steph Curry, Devin Booker, LeBron James, and Joel Embiid. That will be your starting five for today. So since I have the Olympics on my TV above me, so sorry everyone if you see me glancing up at that. But I do have a bone to pick with our Pat right now, and we're going to get into that shenanigans right now. So,
Oh yeah,
oh,
I am not anticipating this. I have no idea what he is about to say.
so as whoever follows us, the people who follow us appreciate it as always. We always do. I've been trying to be more diligent in posting on our social media, and I posted something, and I'm going to read it to you. If you had to bet your life savings on one of these choices, which would you choose? There's four options. Option A, Aaron Rodgers wins another Super Bowl. Option B, Mike Trout wins a World Series. Hmm. Option C, LeBron James wins another title. I'd rather be stabbed in the fucking eyes. And option D, Tiger Woods wins another major. And this guy, whoops, wrong direction on my
No, I'm over
screen.
here.
This, you're on my screen. My finger's pointing this way because you're on this side. This guy right here makes a post and says either A, Aaron Rodgers, or C,
Mhm,
LeBron James.
mhm.
These are your options. The most two hated men on that list, and you're going to pick one of the two most hated men on this list to win a title.
Okay,
I'd rather
now
see Mike Trout win a World Series for God's sakes because he's a better. Well, I can't.
no wait,
I
no,
mean,
okay. All right,
I
hold
can't
on a
say he's a
second.
better person than the other two, but well, at least
But
one of them because Aaron Rodgers is Cougar for Cocoa Puffs.
oh, okay, okay,
I'm
okay,
I'm biased because I don't like LeBron James. I do not want that son of a bitch to win another title. Aaron Rodgers, see, that's the other thing too. He's
okay,
been a bear killer for years, and he's in the Jets and fuck the Jets.
okay.
Why would you
I
root for him to win a title with the Jets? You're a Giants fan.
I
My
I
God.
I see what you mean.
I'm going for Tiger. Listen, Tiger's had some crazy personal shit in his life, but
You think?
the car accident definitely hurt, with his injuries. But I would like to see Tiger win. Just one. Of all the guys, I would like to see Tiger. It'd be great. Just him. Or Mike Trout. Mike Trout was my second option, him winning the World Series. You want to talk about someone who's loyal to a team. It's
Oh my God.
Drew Holiday, that was a carry. Um,
Oh my God, they're down 4-0. This game's over.
hey, look at it. You got Serbia with uh Jokic. Don't, hey. Anything can happen. These Serbians can play.
No, I know they can. I just and you think
Um,
they're not going to remember that the U.S. that was a travel, that the U.S. beat them by 26, a week or so ago,
yeah,
but
I don't even know if they had
what
their
the hell
whole
was
team.
Embiid trying to do, shooting this ball from behind the
I,
backboard? For
I have
Christ's
no
sake.
guy. Okay, no idea, no idea. But
You,
let's
you know what I'm going to be, because I'm going to be, homerish now and everything. And of course, if I ever thought I would say this shit 4 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, I think I probably would have said, "What the hell happened to make me say this?" Anytime this team struggles, I'm just going to keep saying one thing: Why isn't Jalen Brunson on this team?
Hey, I mean, to be honest with you, that's kind of a valid point at any more these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me rooting like shit for a fucking Villanova and Embiid bricks both free throws. Oh,
I mean, this is
oh.
this is
Okay,
gonna
so
be
anyway, back to what we were talking about before I turned
yes,
the basketball game on. And I
sidetracked.
forgot, of course, it's 10 4-minute quarters.
10,
10 4-minute
4,
quarters. Let me
4,
try that
10
again. Four
quarters.
10-minute quarters,
Yes,
which doesn't really matter so much. But all right.
just gives them
So
more breaks. That's all.
you're on my case for picking the two guys that you say are shitheads, which, yeah, they are.
One's a shithead on the field and off the field. The other
Yes.
one's a shithead on the field, not off the field, for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have any complaints about LeBron outside of the basketball court. That's for sure.
No, no, he does good stuff.
Shut up and dribble.
Yeah, I hate that. You know what I hate that because everybody has the ability to talk about that topic.
Yeah.
And how do you know he's not versed in that topic to begin with? So
But it's not just that, too. Do you hear Laura Ingram right now saying to Harrison Bucker, shut up and kick?
yeah, so stupid.
So, fuck you. Anyway,
yes.
the question was framed, and of course, again, if you're on our Facebook page, you will see have seen this post. So come from a couple days ago. If you had to bet your life savings on one of these choices, not that I have a lot of life savings, but if you had to bet your life savings on one of these choices, which would you choose? I don't see that question asking anywhere.
I know.
What would you rather see? What would you like to see?
Uh,
If the question had been tempered like that, I'm definitely not picking A, and I'm probably not picking C. I'm
well,
also still probably not picking D, because
unfortunately, the situation, the way
I
the
don't much like Tiger and haven't for several years now, really. So,
so the way the question is worded and how it is, I understand, but I was just like, but no, honestly, if you look at the way the question is, it's probably option C. LeBron is probably has a higher chance of winning another title than Trout winning the series, Tiger winning another major, and Aaron winning the Super Bowl with the fucking Jets. Because sorry, that's not happening. No bueno.
yeah,
Like he has a better chance than Favre did when Favre played for the Jets. But with that being said, um, this is the AFC East and everything goes through Kansas City. So good luck with that.
yeah. See, I think, I think,
Ooh, 10-2. US is losing. Great.
I think the Jets may be closer than some people think. I
They
don't want
are.
to.
They are 100%.
I don't want to make it. I mean, I saw something, and I don't know if it was real or not. It was, again, something that popped in my Facebook feed that was talking about somebody's rankings of every NFL roster going into this season, and they had the
Hmm.
Jets fourth. I mean, you tell me the Jets have the fourth best roster in the league?
Yeah, I was a
Even with a
little
healthy Rodgers, I can't subscribe to that.
I was a little shocked they were in the top five. I'm like roster wise. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but
Good defense. You got Aaron Rodgers on offense, and Aaron Rodgers just boosts you to the top five. I'm like, okay. Steph Curry for the pullback three. Oh, he makes it 10-5.
I'm looking at it like this. Okay, with Tiger, he's 48 years old.
Yeah.
He's had a slew of injuries over the last decade. He's only won two tournaments, according to golf.com here, in the last decade. In 2018, he won the Tour Championship, and of course in 2019 he won the Masters. which I was probably rooting for him because I was like, oh, it's a great story again, everything like this. But I'm trying to find something that I saw the other day. Um, because of course, the Open Championship was just last weekend. Um, let's see here. There's the ESPN article. Tiger Woods' major championship season ended with another missed cut in the 152nd Open Championship on Friday. Golf fans won't see him again on the PGA Tour this season. He carded a 6 over 77 in the second round at the Royal Troon Golf Club, leaving him with a 36-hole total of 14 over. The cut line was
Mm.
6 over. Woods has now missed the cut or withdrawn in 6 of his past 7 majors. I thought there was something else that said about like how many times he had missed the cut at a major over the last several years, pretty much since that 2019 Masters. And it
His
was like
son's
almost,
his son's doing good.
and it was like almost every single tournament he's missed. So I just think
Yeah.
he's done, and I don't mean that like mockingly, insultingly, negatively. Really, I'm not trying to kick dirt on him, but how many guys? I mean, again, this is something I don't think I can easily look up. How many guys have ever won major tournaments at his age or older, let
Mm.
alone with his injury history, which is
Yeah.
obviously, you know,
I think the injury
so
is more of a big deal than his age, to be
yeah.
honest. Because if he wasn't, I mean, the car accident just, it's one injury after another since that car accident. Um,
Oldest major golf winners. Let me see if I
looks
can
like
look
Devin
this.
Booker's just dropped a couple threes here to bring the game a little closer. Sloppy passing though, some sloppy defense. Just oof.
Okay. So we said Tigers 48, right?
Yes.
So when Phil Mickelson won the PGA 3 years ago, he was a month shy of his 51st birthday, and that made him the oldest to ever win a major.
Oh wow. Okay.
Which I got to admit surprises me a little bit because I kind of thought that there was maybe still guys late 40s, early 50s who back in the day, kind of in the pre-Tiger days, might have still been winning majors at that age. But just goes to show how those guys were always older than me, so they always seemed like they were much older than me, like the late 80s, early to mid 90s and shit. Um, so when Mickelson did that, the previous record for oldest major winner was held by Julius Boros, who at 48 years, 4 months, won the PGA Championship in 1968. So, like I said, a while ago. The second and third oldest major champions, Tom Morris Sr. and Jack Nicklaus, were both 46, though this article does not say what tournaments they won at that age. But again, so we're saying Tiger's 48, so we're saying only 2 guys have ever won a major at age 48 or older. So that's another reason why I can never pick Tiger for that answer.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. 100%. I get it. Ooh,
No, the
US.
US, I guess that timeout was well placed because it was 10-2 and now it's 14-12 US.
Yeah, Devin Booker hit a couple threes and they made some other shots and
Hey, now wait a minute. Those jerseys do not say Serbia.
I'm not even paying attention to what it says.
They say something like Serbia. Yes,
So
that was a bit of cultural insensitivity. I'm sorry, not really. It was an obvious, stupid joke. Commenting
it's
on the.
it's in their own language. But you're making fun
Well,
of their
I
own
was about to
language.
say, I was about to say it's Cyrillic, but it's like, no, I don't think that's the Cyrillic alphabet. I think
Okay.
that's just.
Let's see. Their next game is Wednesday at 3 p.m. on USA and Peacock against
Yeah, and
South
that's
Sudan.
that's the South Sudan rematch, which I'm sure, which between the game that they played a week or so ago and what South Sudan did today, let alone what happens the rest of this game, that game is going to be highly anticipated.
Yes, yes. And then Saturday at 3:15, it looks like they play Puerto Rico.
Yeah. So I also I don't know, maybe I don't know if you had the sound on or if you saw anything, but I saw that they still weren't sure if Durant was going to play in this game and that 2 guys were dealing with illnesses. And I think one of them they said was Davis. So I'm pretty sure that I'd see Davis on the floor right now. Or is that not Davis?
Yeah, it's Davis. I did not hear about I don't have the sound on. I'm not sure about Durant. Um, but yeah, there was a couple guys that were sick. AD
It was
was one of
Davis and
them.
somebody else. I can't remember who.
Actually, it might have been Booker.
I think it was Booker now that you say that.
I think it was, but they're
I don't
both in the
recall
game, so
ever.
it's
I Davis, I think you can tell Davis is sick because he's wearing the T-shirt under the jersey, which I really don't know if I've ever seen him do that, but it's also not something I've ever really taken notice of.
yeah, he wears that every game. Yeah,
Okay, I
yeah,
wasn't sure. I couldn't
that's a
remember.
thing for him.
That was the thing for me when I played too. I had some issue with just being out there in a tank top, essentially. I don't know
Oh,
why.
that
Whoa!
that floater was crazy. He got his own rebound. It scored. Because all three U.S. players were just out of bounds. And Booker, nope, not that time. Rebound. Oh God, that was a foul. The passing in this game is like,
I think I'm a little ahead of you.
yeah, you probably are. It's 19-14 right now. Serbia has the ball. Jokic just down low against AD and just got
Yeah,
fouled.
Davis just got called for a foul. Oh, and here he comes. Okay.
Here who comes? Who?
You'll see.
Oh, here comes Sir KD.
Yeah, here comes KD, who's looking like he's like about 47.
Dude, I know. I know.
Between the way, I'm sorry, he's looking older than he is right now.
Yeah.
I was about to make a probably bad joke saying that he looks like Jamie Foxx strung out on meth.
Oh my God.
He just looks a little weird. I'm sorry. I just like he looks not healthy.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about. From what we've seen of KD, yes.
Yeah, I'm not trying. I'm really not trying to be insensitive or dickish about this, but I'm just like Serbia,
Yeah,
Serbija.
I think his injury was
The
like
Serbian language is interesting.
it is. I think KD's injury was he was hamstring or something like that.
Hmm. Yeah, he looks like you know what he kind of looks like. This maybe not be as offensive. Oh, there we go. He looks like a guy who hasn't been out in the sun for about 6 months.
Hmm.
And depending on where he's been living this year, I get it because again, it's hotter than fuck.
Ooh, KD with the three. Okay.
It's hotter than Hades. It's satanically hot outside.
Yeah. I still, you know, I
Uh,
I kind of feel that I understand like when because our friend in Ohio thought it was thought it was kind of funny how
only got
Kawhi
two.
Kawhi, dropped out of or was sent home, you know,
Yeah, they
whatever
didn't
the
really give a
reason.
reason for that, right?
Oh, he was injured, and I think it had to do with like I don't know. They said that Team USA was the communication with the Clippers, and I feel like
You
KD
think the
was
Clippers
KD
requested it?
KD could have. I mean, KD. Kawhi probably could have played in the Olympics. I don't know how much he would have played, but at the same aspect, I mean, I think it was probably the best. I don't know. Him and his injuries the last 3 4 years have been so bizarre. So they were in communication with the Clippers, and I feel like they just, just go back to LA, get yourself healthy for the start of the NBA season, whatever the case may be. That's fine. But with that being said, like, not that I have an issue with his replacement, but I kind of feel that there could have been some other better options to
That's
replace
interesting.
Kawhi instead of with Derek White. But
Jalen Brunson?
hey, to me, honestly, I'm gonna
They
say
don't really
Jalen.
play the same position though, right?
No, but I don't think that really matters, to be honest with you. Um, they could have picked
Not
Jalen
not not
Brunson.
not in this day and age of basketball, unless you're a center.
I mean, they could have taken Brunson. They could have taken Jalen Brown too. And then there's a couple guys they could have taken. And I hate when they ask why you didn't take this player, and they're like, well, it's because of matchups. Really? Really?
That
Like
seems a little
that's
arbitrary to say the least.
yeah, that's like the biggest cop out you can fucking say. It's because
I mean, unless you're going to
of
cite something specific, then that's really just meaningless.
yeah, it is. I thought it was just a cop out, not giving some
It's like Aaron Boone talking about the Yankee struggles. It's right in front of us. Well,
yeah.
what the fuck does that mean?
I know. I had a feeling with Jalen Brown, it had more to do with like his criticism of China and stuff like that in the past. So I don't know. Whatever.
Oh God, yeah, we can't piss off our partners in the in China with as far as the NBA is concerned.
I know. It's so
And look,
it's
I'm
kind of
not one of
like,
these China's the boogeyman thing, but I know China as a getting political here again. But there's a lot of shit China's doing that, of course, they can't be trusted and shit like this. But at the same time, it's like the people going, "Oh yeah, China," are a
yeah.
tad on the panicky side.
Yeah, yeah. And it's kind of like because it's on international, it's an international event, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, come on, seriously? Like, whatever. I just
Ooh, ooh, this is
what
interesting. I didn't see it, but
what?
Kerr is asking for, I think, a flagrant. Oh, I think he's got a case.
Yeah, I just saw it, but I'm waiting for the replay.
He definitely wasn't making a move to swat the ball in any way. He basically looked like he was a hockey player trying to check Durant into the boards.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's what it was. That's what the move was. He went like this
Yeah, I just saw.
to
I just
knock into him. He wasn't like saying, swat the ball.
yeah, I'm watching the replay. I saw the replay. Yeah, he definitely wasn't going for the ball. He was trying to put a little hurt in on KT.
Yeah, think about that too. You're going after the guy who you know is injured.
It's a hockey thing.
That's definitely a hockey thing, or like maybe a
Look,
rugby or football thing, but not a basketball thing.
that's like a get the thug out there, get our enforcer out there,
I,
hit,
I, I
get
don't
some
I
hits
don't
out there.
I don't know what country these officials are from, and I always hate being conspiratorial about shit like that. As far as they're from a country that doesn't like the U.S., so they're not going to call it. But
Let's see what happens.
there is a reason why I think that, and it's called "Go Watch the 1972 Gold Medal Game."
Oh yeah, yeah, they fucked us. No, that should be a
Biggest problem was,
flagrant.
of course, that the officials in that game couldn't communicate with either team.
Yeah,
They didn't
that's true
speak
too.
English or Russian.
Um, yeah, it should be a flagrant. If they don't call flagrant, I'm shocked. What did they
Told you.
call? They didn't call flagrant.
They didn't call flagrant.
Wow.
Now I don't have the sound on, but the captioning that's coming on, I think they're maybe saying, "Well, FIBA rules allows for that more physical play." Dude, it wasn't a basketball play though. Come on.
They and that's the one thing with Euro and FIBA. They do allow more physical play, like the
It's
80s
like,
and
look,
90s.
I like physical play. The teams I grew up with were those early
I know.
90s Knicks teams coached by Riley that had Ewing and Charles Oakley who would pound the fuck out of you.
Katie just hit a
But
three though,
dude,
so but yeah, yeah.
those weren't basketball. That was not a basketball play. That was a hip check to the boards.
I
That
know.
was fucking.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Oh, and the call they just got on and AD was that's some bullshit right
no,
there.
yeah, I'm already salty with these refs. And we're not even a full quarter into the game.
AD's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
And don't
so
forget,
he's got to go to the bench now, and I don't know what other bigs this team really has.
they don't LeBron is coming back in, so that they don't
Yeah,
really
it's like
bam,
LeBron and Durant are the biggest guys on the court right now, and
bam. And
LeBron can play physically when he wants to, which isn't much anymore, but Durant doesn't.
yeah, Bam's their other big guy, but
Oh, that was
whatever.
nice.
Um, ooh, what a steal.
I mean, a 5 point lead at the end of the quarter. I mean, considering the start, it could have been worse. I also think they showed an interesting graphic there. I think you probably saw it. It mentioned that Larry Bird is the oldest gold medalist
Yeah.
at eight. He was 35 in 92. And then they showed that LeBron, Curry, and Durant are all older now. Durant's
Yeah.
35, but I guess he's an older 35 than Bird was. So that's a little interesting. And it also, of course, kind of, you know, accentuates, like, so the best word, that those guys ain't going to be on the team in 4 years. So you kind of need to get, your next level of leaders, if
Mhm.
you will.
Is it going to be
Uh,
Anthony Edwards? Is it going to be who else on this team? Because you look at the age
but
of this team, a lot of these players, I would say over half this roster is not going to be on the Olympic team in 4 years.
yeah, let's see, 2024 U.S. men's basketball team. Uh, yeah, so Curry's 36, Edwards 22, LeBron 39, Durant 35, Derek White 30, Halliburton 24, Tatum 26, and Embiid 30. Geez, he's 30 already.
Hmm.
Holiday 34, Bam 27, AD 31, Booker 27. So again, the only guys who definitely won't be on the team in 4 years are Curry, LeBron, and Durant. Holiday,
No,
probably not.
no.
Embiid and White, I think, are the next oldest guys. Or no, Davis. I
Well,
mean,
White won't be on there because at this time, this is probably a one and done for him. Because honestly, you know, he's a good replacement, but I don't see him being on the team in the next
I
four
mean,
years, especially with the young group of guys they have now
not to
that
be
are
a dick, he does kind of stand out as why is he on this team?
correct.
I mean, Bam does a little bit too, but he's again one of the few guys that has size. Oh, so what other bigs they have? Embiid, duh.
Oh yeah,
It doesn't mention the ages of all the other guys who were like candidates who didn't make the team for whatever reason, but some of those guys wouldn't be in consideration in 4 years either, like Chris Paul.
yeah. I mean, like the guys are in like
Damian Lillard, I doubt would be because he's 34 now. Um,
look at the
what's
guys who are in their
Kyrie?
late 20s.
Yeah,
They'll probably
Kyrie's
be on the
30.
team.
Kyrie's 32 now. Paul George is 34 now. I mean, they're not going to be under serious
No,
consideration, I don't think. So
no. I'm sorry, I wouldn't put them under consideration. I really reevaluate the NBA roster and see, what we got going on.
yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm like, so Edwards, Halliburton, Tatum, come on, guys, be the guys to step up.
Yeah, those would be the guys. 100%.
And maybe in 4 years you put Jalen Brunson on the team.
Anthony Edwards is on there, I hey, just we'll see. We'll see. Just gotta take it one at a time.
Oh, that's interesting too. I guess maybe I didn't know that. I didn't know they didn't switch sides after the quarter.
No, no. Halftime. That's it.
Yeah. Well, don't they switch sides every quarter in the NBA? Or am I? Have I? Has it been that long since I've actually watched an NBA game?
Oh my God, now I have to think about that. I
Yeah,
think
I can't think of it either now. And
because
I
all
did
the ga-
watch parts of some games this year, but yeah, I can't really ever say that I was taking notice of court switching.
do you know what? It's one of those things I don't think about it. They
Yeah,
You have to look
yeah.
it up because I've watched so much NBA. I just can't put it in my head if they do or not.
What was all that shit?
Yeah, that was a stupid move.
No, no, no. Yeah, I'm ahead of you, I think, but
Oh,
you'll
yeah.
see. It was when Serbia had the ball here. It's like
Oh, okay.
I'm not quite sure how that wasn't an offensive foul. Well, thank God goodness he's playing today. I'll tell you that. He's hitting the shots.
What KD hit in there three, and yep, just saw it
Yep.
now.
So he's got 11 of their 30 points now, and he's hit three threes. Oh, nice job, dumbass. You know what's going to be annoying throughout these Olympics if I ever watch them with the sound on, which I'm not really sure how much that's ever going to be, is going to be all the times that they refer to the 2020 Olympics. And we have to keep going, well, technically,
Uh, yeah,
because, they weren't played in 2020. So,
yeah, yeah.
uh, but yeah,
So
it is so much easier to just refer to them as the 2020 Olympics because you have to think to say the 2021 Olympics. Now
yeah, yeah, you definitely do. Oh, they're
that's
up
that,
by
that's the thing. That's
nine
because
now.
that's always been the thing about the Summer Olympics that I've kind of liked. Hey, what year were the Summer Olympics played? Well, was there a U.S. presidential election that year?
Yeah, pretty much.
And of course, it was that way for the Winter Olympics until 1994. So
Yeah.
I remember
Um.
1992, the last year of both Olympics in the same year. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was. That was fun.
Albertville, France,
I
and
like. I just. I like.
Barcelona, Spain.
I like the Olympics in general. I watch both a lot. What was did we get is it the next Winter Olympics we got or the one after?
I saw that, yeah. So here's the thing. They've become much more anticipatory as
Hmm.
far as awarding the games. I think we've had discussions about this in the
Yes.
past about how like they're not really money making events for the host country, especially if they have to build a lot of infrastructure to host them and everything, which is why.
Especially they don't have anything going on after they build all that shit because they don't have
Right.
anything to put in there to keep them up and running
Right, and I think this.
properly.
I think the one thing that I've always cited was when they did the games in Athens in 2000, and they had to build a baseball stadium, and a few years later, that baseball stadium looked like the fucking Roman Colosseum.
Yeah, that's sad. It's like a
You
waste,
know,
such a waste of money.
yeah. So, but it used to be they would award the games 7 years prior to them taking place.
Yep.
They've started to change that. So we know this year's games, of course, are in Paris.
Yep.
In 2028, we know that they're going to be in Los Angeles.
That's one thing real quick. That's a bucket list of mine to go to an Olympic Games, winter or summer. Like even as for a couple days, but to get tickets for to try to get in tickets for certain events to go watch. That's something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see the appeal. I mean, I love the 96 games in Atlanta. I was too young for the 84 LA games, of course, but the 96 games in Atlanta, I was 15 years old. Everything's in the same time zone. It was so great. It would have been probably really cool to go there. I could have, of course, been killed by a terrorist, but you know,
I want to go watch some basketball and there's some other sports I really want to go see. Like I want to go watch beach volleyball and you
beach
know,
volleyball would probably be really fun to watch.
that's on top of my list and whatnot. And I wouldn't mind going to track and field too. I love track and field and
Yeah, I think I'd
whatnot.
rather watch track live than swimming live. And the reason I say that is because I don't know if it's structured the same way this Olympics, but most every Olympics that I can remember watching, the swimming events are always week one and the track events are always week two. And
Yeah.
it's like they don't like compete with each other, kind
Yeah.
of, you know.
And the other thing too is like some of the skateboarding stuff I'd really like to see and rugby. I've really been watching a lot more rugby in the last couple of years and
They called that a foul.
yeah, I would like to see, I'd like to watch a rugby game live and it'd be cool to watch, an Olympic rugby game. So there's a couple of things I would like to, to see for sure.
They called that a foul, and that was the fucker that hip checked Durant.
I know.
White, I think it was White or it was a Booker, I don't know. Apparently laid a fingernail on him, and so he went tumbling to the floor. So that's a foul.
Yeah, I think it was
Fuck
white.
you.
Yeah, I think it was white.
Anyway, so the 2028 games will be in LA. They have already awarded the 2032 games, which, according to the 7 year schedule, of course, they wouldn't have until next year. But the 2032 games are going to be held. We're going down under again, but not to Sydney. We're going to Brisbane.
Interesting.
So that should be fun. Let me just. I'm trying to look at this real quick to see. Apparently, Brisbane was really the only city that really bid.
Really?
Brisbane was confirmed as host of the 2032 Summer Olympics at the IOC session on July 21st, 2021 in Tokyo. So look at, so 11 years ahead of time. As per the new format of choosing future Olympic game host cities from the IOC's agenda, the vote was in a form of a referendum to the 80 IOC delegates. According to the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, 72 of the delegates voted yes, 5 voted no, and 3 abstained.
Hmm,
But so like nobody else really bid. That's okay, whatever.
that's
The
weird.
2036 Summer Games have, of course, not been decided yet. Um,
What?
well, I don't know what their infrastructure is like, and I'm not going to try to read through these capsules to get a feel of all of them. But looking at the 4 confirmed bids, I'm scratching my fucking head. Okay. Nusantara, Indonesia, Istanbul, Turkey.
Hmm.
It's not exactly a nice part of the world, and they're run by a dictator. I mean, God only knows he'll still be there in 12 years, but still.
Hmm. Absolutely.
TBD, India, but it says likely to be Ahmedabad. Again, had a lot of problems with the way that country is going right now.
Ooh,
Uh,
interesting countries.
there's everybody talks about, of course, the Christian nationalist movement in this country, but that country, of course, has their Hindu nationalist movement going on right now.
Hmm.
Translation: if you're not a Hindu, watch out. And then Santiago, Chile,
Interesting.
which, of course, has a checkered past to say the least, which we helped.
Hmm. Indeed, they did.
So those are some interesting potential bids, or confirmed bids, and then for potential bids, they have Egypt,
Interesting.
yeah, Seoul, South Korea, which hosted the '88 games.
Yeah.
I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation. Chengdu, Chongqing, China. I mean, China's had a few, but unfortunately, they're also one of the places where you can nominally rely on existing infrastructure, I think.
Hmm. Yes, true.
Doha, Qatar, or Qatar, which of course they just had the World Cup. So
Qatar, yeah.
Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Listen, they got the
Moving
money.
on. Not
They
gonna
got them.
rehash the Saudi Arabia shit.
They got the money.
Yeah. Budapest, Hungary, Florence, Bologna, or Turin, Italy. Now, Turin, of course, had the Winter Olympics back in 2006. So to also have a Summer Olympics is kind of interesting because I don't think many cities can say they've done that.
Yeah, true.
Uh, Berlin.
Hmm. Okay.
Uh, Berlin, of course, hosted the 1936 Olympics,
Yes,
which
we. Yeah.
Berlin wasn't exactly a nice place in 1936.
No.
I don't know if you want to award the 2036 Olympics to Berlin if they bid, just to avoid that.
Yeah. Anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Copenhagen. I almost wonder if Copenhagen's too small, Uh, and a joint Toronto Montreal, which I guess could kind of be interesting, but
The Toronto Montreal one would be good. I'd be
yeah,
fine
and
with
then
that.
and then canceled or rejected bids, and I'm not going to get into the reasons for why. Madrid, London, which just had them 12 years ago. Odessa, Ukraine.
Oof.
Yeah, we
Oh
have no
yeah.
idea what the country's going to be like in 12 years, but uh, Poland, host city not specified. Mexico, which mentions Mexico City, Guadalajara, Monterrey, and or Tijuana. I think running the games in Mexico would be on the problematic side as well.
Depending where it's at, yeah.
Yeah. So for the Winter Olympics, of course, 2 years ago they were in Beijing, even though most of the games were not held in Beijing.
Very true.
Which again was fine because they were making the most out of this is where in the country they can host these events and everything.
Yeah,
So,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
yeah. The games in 2 years will be Milano Cortina in Italy.
All right, 2026. Okay.
Yep. They beat out Stockholm Are, Sweden. The 2030 games are being called the French Alps Olympics. And once again, they were kind of awarded on just like a referendum vote, which was overwhelmingly yes. The same way that Brisbane got the 2032 Summer Games.
Okay.
And then this news just came in, just within just this past week. The 2034 Winter Olympics will be back in Salt Lake City.
Hmm. Okay.
And once again, it won by an overwhelmingly positive referendum vote. So there weren't really like bids per se, you know.
Gotcha.
Obviously, of course, the 2002 Winter Games were in Salt Lake City. Obviously, I'm hoping that this time we can host these Winter Olympics free of scandal.
Yeah, I know.
whether it's all the shit that went on with the athletes themselves or the fucking figure skating judging shit. Can we host a Winter Olympics without controversy, please? Thank
That
you.
would be that would be spectacular
Yeah.
if we
But
could.
so let's quick recap then. So again, this year we're in France.
Mhm.
2 years for the Winter Games, we're going to be in Italy. Then 2028 US, 2030 France again, 2032 Australia, 2034 US again. All pretty big, pretty well off existing infrastructure type countries. And I think again, this is what we're going to see going forward. It's like if these smaller countries, and when I say smaller countries, again, I don't mean population because, of course, like I mentioned, India, obviously they're not a small population
No,
country, and neither is Indonesia really. Um, and again, maybe those countries do have the existing infrastructure to be able to host these games. I don't know. I'd have to look into it further, but still, I think you're going to really start to see maybe like the same 7 or 8 countries host the Olympics. And to be honest, and while that doesn't really lend itself to the spirit of the international community, as it were, these things cost a shit ton of money. And if they're going to bankrupt or ruin a host country's economy, dude, it's not fucking worth it.
no,
So, the Olympic Games are not going to ruin the economy of the United States or China or probably the other countries that I mentioned in there, France, UK, Italy, Australia, if they ever dare to hold them in Russia again. Um, so, yeah, I don't want to be a dick. I don't want to say these other countries can't host the Olympics, but it's like 4 other countries to host the Olympics again. It's like we've been talking about. Oh, I can't believe they didn't call that a foul. Oh, they did. Um, if they need to build up a lot of shit to host the Olympics, then it's just not worth it.
no, no. It's
And I'll
definitely
pull up
not.
and I'll pull up that picture of that Athens baseball stadium every goddamn time. I don't know why anybody thought building a baseball stadium in Athens that it was going to get use afterwards. I don't think Greece is a country where baseball is popular.
Yeah, it's yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
and you think about it too, like Greece has been struggling with their
oh,
economy
oh,
and
they've had economic issues.
for like 20 years now,
I was
15.
gonna say, has it been since those Olympics?
Yeah, pretty
Feels like
much.
it's been forever now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like it's been since the Olympics. And
it's so sad when you think of all the history in that country and how so much of our modern philosophy and things came from that country, and now it's just
I know, just there. And it sucks because like that's somewhere I want to go in 2027. Like I want to go to Greece because I'm half Greek, so I want to
yeah,
go to the island of Crete. I want to go to some of the other small islands and go there and visit and whatnot. But it's just sad to see where that
yeah.
country's at in regards to that.
See,
So
I always look at Greek food with a raised eyebrow because it just seems like the kind of food that I don't know if I could handle. I'm
yeah.
not big on like spices and oily stuff in a lot of ways. Look, I'm American. I mean, come on. I was brought up on fast food and tasty cake. So,
Oh gosh, the tasty cakes. Oh yeah, tasty cakes,
um,
A treat soda. Let's go Northeast.
yeah, yeah. But so unfortunately, I'm not very adventurous when it comes to international cuisine. It's like I like Italian food, I like Mexican food. Um,
Oh, speaking of food, real quick.
I like teppanyaki, but you can't really call that Japanese. Um, but like Indian, I've never been able to deal with.
Oh,
I don't like most Chinese food. I really don't. So
I like about half of it, probably. Speaking of
yeah,
food, real quick, a staple, and people are probably not gonna know what we're talking about, but being in Pennsylvania, we had a restaurant called Perkins, mostly for breakfast. I love their potato pancakes with some sour cream or applesauce, whatever I felt like using that day. But
it
when we
sounds
were,
disgusting.
it's glorious. Um, But when we were in Florida for the esports tournament, down the road from where we were staying was a Perkins in Florida. I have
Where
n-
were you in Florida? Like what town?
we were technically it was Orlando area code, but we were down the road from Full Sail University.
I think I know which Perkins you're referring to, and the only reason I say this,
We'll say we were in between Full Sail University over here and then UCF on the side.
yeah. I mean, it may not have been that Perkins, but I remember I used to like all the time, not so much the last several years because the way things have changed down there.
It's like
But
25 minutes away from Disney, put it
yeah,
that way.
like the unofficial guide to Disney World, which is a huge book that gets updated and republished every year, of course, because shit changes all the time. Um, I was always amused by reading like the chapters on like the food and the restaurants and everything because there was like so many people would just constantly bitch about the food that you get at Disney World. And it's like, dude, you're going to get a lot of places, what's the equivalent of like an American fast food. And you're in a
Yeah.
theme park, so you're a captive audience. So yeah, it's going to cost ridiculous amounts. Blah, 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 blah. I feel also at the same time Disney World is like taking a lot of steps to offer like more variety in the food they serve and the quality as well. At least that's the perception I get. I really can't ever remember going to like a sit down restaurant anywhere on the Disney World property the many times I've been there and thinking, wow, this food sucks. Okay,
No.
there was one time. There was one time. Um, but anyway, so I would always love because they publish like user comments all the time. Like people write them like letters, emails, whatever, relating their experiences.
Hmm.
And they would publish comments that they found funny. Some comments they would keep republishing year after year after year. And I'm like, at what point does that comment become outdated? But I always remember this vividly. This one person was complaining so much about the food that they said it literally drove us off the property to get a decent meal. I never thought I'd get down on my hands and knees and kiss the sidewalk outside of Perkins Pancake House. And when I read that, that was my reaction. I just cracked up.
Perkins Pancake House. That is fucking spectacular.
I know. I was like, when I read it, because yeah, we would go to Perkins like almost all the time. Like my dad and I and my mother when I still lived there, we go there all the time. I still go
I
there every
there's
once in a
other
while. But again, it's another one of those things where it's like, oh, this is going to cost too much for just me to
yeah.
go eat one meal. Um,
I'm
but yeah,
always
so
I've
I
always
just found that hysterical. Yeah.
That's crazy, crazy. I ate other food at Perkins, but like the breakfast was probably like my favorite time to favorite
Oh
point
yeah.
to go to Perkins. And I'm just I
Very rarely would I ever go to Perkins and get not breakfast,
yeah, very
even
rare
if it
too.
was not breakfast hours.
Um, the thing for me too is like down living in North Carolina, there's not a lot of diners. Like I was always a big
Mm,
fan of like diner food. You know what I mean? And there's very few.
yeah.
It's so limited. They're hard to find. Um,
It's getting that way up here too. Like a lot of places that I think would be classified as diners have shut down. Again, COVID. You
yeah, and
know,
they're just there's too many chain places and local chain and regional chains that are open up where those diners are just struggling to keep
yeah.
afloat to begin with, you know.
There's this one place down the road on William Penn Highway that's only open for breakfast and lunch. And I went there a couple months ago with my sister when she was helping me out when I had to take the car in for work to
Is
this
that the
place
one
right across the street.
is that the cross street from the car dealer?
It's not across the street from the car dealer. Because I think maybe you're thinking of Williams Family Restaurant,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
which is pretty much a diner. But no, it's this place that's called Smile Cafe. It's this real small place and
Oh,
everything.
okay.
Um, it's kind of sort of next door to that one convenience store that's
You're
been
gonna
there
have
for forever.
you're gonna have to direct me because I don't know the name of that place here.
Do you know Jeff's Automotive?
Yeah, yeah.
It's across the street from Jeff's Automotive.
Oh, it's in that little area.
Yeah, because that's the place I've been taking.
Oh,
That's the place I've
okay.
been taking my car recently, ever since Jack
Okay.
Williams went to shit. Um, don't get bought out by fucking Mavis. But it was really good. Like I just got like a breakfast sandwich, but it was really really good, and it was
That's
like
good.
the thing about it that also struck me was like I was like looking at the price and going, oh, yeah, here we go. But then the size of the sandwich, I'm like, okay, this justifies the price. So I didn't feel like I was getting gypped because, of course, another thing that people complain about, rightfully so, is this costs 50% more than it did 10 years ago. And it's also 60% of the size.
Yeah.
Like I bought a box of ring dings recently.
Oh, them things are all. Listen, my dad bought Twinkies the other day because he hadn't had Twinkies in forever. They were smaller, and he said these don't taste like Twinkies anymore. They taste like
Well,
something
Hostess had
else.
a whole big thing, of course, where like they shut down and then got reopened. I
Yeah.
can't say that I've noticed that Twinkies are smaller. The ring dings are definitely smaller than they used to be. Absolutely. There's no way that they aren't. What else did I get recently that I said, I think this is getting smaller all the time? It might have been an egg McMuffin from McDonald's.
Probably.
Like it felt like it was smaller, so
No, won't be surprised.
yeah.
So going back to sport,
Shrinkflation, I think is what they call
yeah,
that.
yes, it is. Hey, it's been happening all the time. They do it with Gatorade and Powerade and
Hmm.
the drinks and everything like that too.
Oh yeah,
Based on
it
the
is
shape of the drink, the bottles and all that shit.
yeah, and because of course it's subtle, they do it gradually, so you don't notice it unless you somehow saved one
Mhm.
from 6 years ago,
Yep,
and who's saving food that long, of course. Saving like an empty bottle is obviously a lot easier, but it's just
100%.
yeah, it's ridiculous. That's what I refer to as corporate greed because you can't justify to me increasing the prices and shrinking the portion sizes and still be reporting like record profits and shit because then
Yeah.
what you basically told me is that that's all you care about.
Mhm.
So yeah,
So let's switch back to sports because
yeah, yeah.
Thursday is the Hall of Fame game. My Bears are playing Houston, and the Hall of Fame ceremonies are coming up. But
Why?
with that being said, the main objective of my change of scenery here with the conversation is there is a specific show that has expanded their coverage with teams this year, and your team was first up on the list, and my team, I think,
Oh, that's why. I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out why Houston and Chicago were playing.
yeah, um,
Houston's got a representative in Andre Johnson.
and we got two.
And the Bears basically have three guys between Hester, Peppers, and Mongo.
Yeah.
Who has anybody said if he's going to be able to attend in any way, shape, or form?
The last thing yesterday when I saw on social media, they're still hoping to try to get him to there. We'll see.
God, that's gonna.
That's going to be hard on him, legitimately. And I feel like I feel. Here's the thing. For me, send his wife, let her do her thing, and let people
Yeah,
be with
because
him at home. I'd put it on some big TV so his eyes are open and he can see it because I don't want it to be the case where like he travels there or travels home and he passes away on the way there or on the way home. You know what I mean?
yeah, I don't want to have like another. This isn't remotely the same. I don't want to have another Ultimate Warrior moment.
Yeah, yeah. Just it's that
And
disease
and
is
and
tough in its own.
oh, Spike's there. And yeah, let's be honest. I mean, sorry, I get a little emotional because I know he's mocked so much in wrestling circles, but it's like I always admired the fact that the guy tried and that he always seemed to have a great attitude about it.
Listen, he wasn't great, but he did good. He
Yeah,
did good
the
with what
problem
he
was
was
is that
given.
you like he never got better,
Yeah.
so but it's like I think he's become an unfair punchline in wrestling circles in a lot of ways, but um you'd be practically wheeling out a living corpse.
Yeah, I know.
I don't mean that disrespectfully in any way, but
It's just because of the disease. Like the
yeah,
other,
he
so
can't
Jared,
even he can't move or speak really,
uh,
right?
he can't do anything. So they've
Yeah, so
on his social media, was it yesterday or the day before? It was a picture Jarrett Payton and I think his sister. I forget. I just saw Jared Payton had visited him, so it was a picture. It was Mongo, his wife, Jarrett, and I think maybe his Jarrett's sister or somebody. I forget. Or somebody else there, and took a picture and posted on social media. He went to go visit him and stuff like that. So, yeah, just seeing him, it's like, just we'll see what happens. I kind of hope they don't. I just don't want, like I said, I don't want him to, you know, similar comparison, but different type. I don't want that ultimate worry moment. I don't want, him passing away on the way there or on the way home and whatnot. So, that's
yeah,
yeah.
man, like ESPN a couple days ago reran the article that they published back in February about his quest, if you will, to get the Hall of Fame call.
Yeah.
and some of the pictures that they have on here are just so hard to look at.
They are.
Because again, it's like
I struggle to look at his social media
he
when like his wife posts shit with him and like all the
yeah,
people like Richard Dent went
he's
to go visit him a couple weeks ago and
he's very, for lack of a better term, he's very skeletal looking.
yes.
It's like it's hard to say, it's hard to see that that's that same guy that you saw demolishing quarterbacks and running backs on the
Yep.
football field for a decade, or the guy that
Yeah.
you saw Irish whipping Ric Flair and Reggie White, because those are the pictures that they use from his wrestling career, into the ropes and shit, and or Tombstone pile driving some poor asshole who they put in the ring to make Mongo look good.
Yeah.
Just it's
And,
just so hard
and
to
you know what?
see that. It's
And,
like, and again, it just goes to show how we love athletes when they're playing, and once they're playing, you don't fucking remember who they are.
no, a lot of people don't. It's one of the things too, like I give kudos, props to Flair too, because he was in the Four Horsemen, if he deserved it or not. Flair and them
Yeah,
brought him into the Four Horsemen. It's not like, they were forced to put Mongo on into Four Horsemen. They agreed to do it. And it's cool that Flair still goes and sees Mongo. He still
yeah.
goes and
I
visits him.
as many issues as I have with Flair right now, I got to give him props for that, of course.
Yeah, 100%.
Just like as many issues I have with Jericho right now, when I see that he's donating money to guys like John Nord, who is having apparently a lot of health issues and maybe in lose a risk of losing his leg. For those who don't know, John Nord was the Berserker in
Mhm.
WWF. Jericho always is donating fairly decent amounts of money to whenever like old wrestlers are like asking for help paying medical bills and shit. So I
Oh, he
give Jericho,
does.
I give Jericho props for that, because again, as many issues as I have with the son of a bitch right now, I think that when he does that, it does inspire other people to do what they can to help.
Oh yeah,
It's kind of
100%.
ridiculous in so many ways, of course, that this is the way it is for a lot of
Mhm.
people, but
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
it's still
Um,
inspiring to see that other people are willing to help other people in need. So that's why I can't be too complaining about it. But yeah, it's just like I'm so happy that he was elected. Um, and obviously he knows, and that's the
oh
most
yeah.
that's the most important thing. Like, one of the things that always pissed me off was so happy that Ron Santo finally got into the Baseball Hall of Fame. I was so pissed off that it happened the first election that he was eligible for after he died, when they
Mhm.
had chances to put him in while he was still alive.
Yep.
So
And they botched that one. So yeah,
that that,
100%.
that I'm still pissed off about that one to this day, because it's like when I always looked at his numbers and everything, how many All-Star games he made, and it's just like, okay, yeah, those Cubs teams were lousy, and it's like, how were they so lousy when they had Ron Santo and Ernie Banks and Fergie Jenkins and Billy Williams? Well, that is a bit of an interesting question.
It is.
There have been many teams that have won that didn't have four Hall of Famers on them.
I
Um,
know. Everyone else just sucked.
yeah, it's pretty much what it was. Yeah, they had four guys who were so great. The rest of the team was duh.
Garbage.
Yeah,
Um,
but yeah. So it's like, if they ever elect Dick Allen now, it's like I'm gonna be a little bit pissed off too, because he had opportunities, while he was still alive, and didn't get them, unfortunately. So
yep. So what I was getting at was
yeah,
that
I'm sorry. We
no,
we
you're
went off on a
good.
tangent
Yeah,
there.
we went up. As your team was up first for the Hard Knocks series, the little pre, and my team's first episode starts August 6th.
Yeah.
So
So
have you been
so
watching? I've seen clips of certain things from Hard Knocks and some very interesting stuff that I've seen,
so
especially
yeah. So
from
so
your
my team, they were doing
GM.
like Hard Knocks off-season edition, and I guess you're
Yes,
doing Hard Knocks training camp edition.
correct.
Yeah. I have not watched any of the Giants' Hard Knocks. I have read some recap articles, which have mostly said to me,
Oh
I'm
no.
glad I have not watched any of this, especially any of the shit related to Saquon. I got to
Oh,
admit, I'm so over that. At this point, I don't care what happened. I don't blame Saquon for taking the best money deal he could get at this point in his career, given his injury history and running back usage and running back decline. What and a lot of people saying Saquon was justified, the Giants mistreated him. Yeah, that's a thought. There's also the thought the Giants bent over backwards for him and treated him like a king in a league where running backs are not the focal point anymore.
Yeah.
From being drafted second overall to what they did pay him, they did make a pretty good extension offer to him. What was it, a year and a half, 2 years ago, and he rejected it
Hmm. Yeah.
because he obviously thought he could get more. And I don't think that I don't remember now. I'd have to go look at the details, and I'm not going to do it right now, unfortunately. I don't know if what the Eagles gave him was more than what the Giants offered him that he turned down. I don't remember. But everybody's playing this off as like, oh, the Giants were pretending that they wanted him to be there from what was shown in this show. And Saquon gave like his side of it now. He was like, oh, they weren't really that serious or blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to offer my 2 cents on the whole situation, which is this: Saquon, love you, but you knew you weren't re signing with the Giants the moment they decided to franchise you last year and didn't give you an extension then, the extension that you wanted, which would have been
Yeah.
ridiculous for them to give you. You knew then you weren't staying with them, no matter what you said otherwise. So, if you want to blame somebody for Saquon not being a Giant anymore, this is another thing where, again, there is equal amount of blame on both sides. But ultimately, again, the way that the league is, the way that the league works, the way the salary cap works, I can't blame the Giants for what they did.
Yeah.
Just That's just the way it is. Do I
Yeah.
expect Devin Singletary to be as good as Saquon? No, but the problem with Saquon too was he didn't know when he was going to come up lame again. And I hate thinking that, but I knew the moment that game against, I think it was against, I don't remember now, it was against Tampa, or it was against Chicago. I can't remember, where he blew out his knee there a couple years ago. And I knew as soon as the play happened, I said he just blew out his knee. I knew he
Okay.
would never be the same player again
That
because
may have
even
been
if he came
Chicago,
back and could,
actually.
yeah, because even if he could come back and do the same things that he had done in his college and pro career up to that point, I said there's always going to be ancillary injuries going forward, and that's what happened.
Yeah. It's a thing. I feel bad for the running backs because I feel like they really have been shitted on more in the past 6 years than they have in the past, which is unfortunate. A lot of teams carry two, three running backs that all play equal time. One definitely plays a little bit more than the others, but they do give opportunities to more members of the team. So it's it's a rare breed anymore to see like a Derrick Henry or a Saquon or a Christian McCaffrey or
Yeah.
some of those guys.
We
Um,
know we're never going to see Emmett Smith and Barry Sanders and Marshall Falk and LaDainian Tomlinson. That era is done
yeah, yeah,
until
100%.
until the pendulum swings back again for some reason.
Yeah, and it could be within the next 5 years. You never know. With the group of how the kids are coming up anymore and through the college system and whatnot,
See, I just don't think it will, just because of
the
the
play
fact that
style.
they know that running backs break down just because they get hit so many times, whether they're carrying the ball or catching the ball. They're just going to get hit. They're going to get mangled. They're going to get chewed up. So,
It's going to be hard to. And here's, speaking of that, who do you like? Who's the next running back? Like, if you look at the group of running backs that have played in the last 10 years, you know what I mean? Like, how many of them are Hall of Famers? I
I
mean,
mean,
that's 10 years is a big gap. You got Derrick Henry in there and you got some others that probably retire like and whatnot. But it's just kind of like you think about like how many of them are really truly Hall of Famers?
well, yeah, that's a very interesting point. That was actually more than I thought. Hold on, let me get a comparison up here. Uh,
As you're doing that, I was very worried about the Bears being on Hard Knocks just because I think I was just worried because there's a lot of stuff to talked about in regards to Caleb Williams, um, about him
yeah, I mean
being
that's obviously
Hollywood,
talk about a microscope being on somebody.
yeah, him being Hollywood or whatever the case may be, and you know, um, it just worried me because there's times you see shit on Hard Knocks that comes out, and stuff you see behind the scenes that no one knows about, and there's some things you might get a different opinion on in regards to certain people when it comes to Hard Knocks. And it's like, listen, my franchise has suffered long enough with not having great quarterbacks, and the coaching carousel of the coaching carousel shit show that's happened ever since they got rid of Lovey Smith. I just like I did, we don't need any more negativity, but I, I, of course I'm a Bears fan. I follow all their stuff, but the trading camps have been, good, from the people who go there, the beat writers and whatnot who will report on it. So we'll see how Hard Knocks goes August 6th, when the first episode drops. We'll
Yep.
see what.
So there have been, I just set this as an arbitrary line just so it
Mhm.
wouldn't go ridiculously long. There are 154 players in NFL history who have rushed for 5,000 yards. 14 of them are active.
Mm,
Two of them are
okay.
quarterbacks.
Well, okay. Yeah. Lamar Jackson's one of them. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and Russell Wilson's the other.
Yeah.
So you got Derrick Henry, 9,500 yards. Ezekiel Elliott, 8,900. Then you drop down to Latavius Murray, Melvin Gordon, Nick Chubb at 6,500.
Oof.
Joe Mixon, 6,400. Dalvin Cook, 6,200. Christian McCaffrey, 61. Closer to 62, actually. Aaron Jones, 5,900. Alvin Kamara, 58. Josh Jacobs, 55. Wilson and Lamar pretty much 53, and then Saquon 52. Then you got that 8 more guys between 4,000 and 5,000. But a lot of these guys, nobody's like nobody's building around them.
Yeah.
Nobody's planning on them. Nobody, I think, is really necessarily referring to any of these guys as being in the primes of their career.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the quarterbacks here, though Russell Wilson pretty obviously is on the backside of his career now. Lamar, you would still definitely argue is still in his prime.
Yeah. Of
But
course.
Saquon's got his injury history. Josh Jacobs just switched teams, and I don't remember he got paid a lot. Kamara seems to be Aaron Jones. I don't remember where he went. McCaffrey's still doing pretty well. Dalvin Cook, isn't he still a free agent?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody even wants to sign him. Mixon, Chubb seem to be doing okay. Melvin Gordon and Latavius Murray, I think, are both kind of
In and out of different random
close to
teams.
done.
Yeah.
Zeke's getting there too, and Derrick Henry is
He's still productive. I mean, he's
yeah,
going to
he's
play.
still
He's
productive,
he's
but
he's
I
playing for
mean,
Baltimore this year, so we'll see. We'll see how
yeah,
the
that's
production.
that's the thing. It's like he just switched teams too. It was like the team that for which he rushed for 9,500 yards in 8 seasons didn't want him back,
Yeah, they're going younger.
and he's still been rushing for 1,000 yards. I mean, the only
Yeah.
year in the last 6 years he didn't rush for 1,000 yards was 3 years ago, and that's because he only played 8 games, and he still
Yeah.
rushed for 900.
Yeah. He
So
got
he's still
injured.
averaging, his yards per game took a big hit last year, but his yards per carry didn't.
Yeah.
Dropped from
His
4.4 to 4.2.
yeah. The
He
other
just wasn't
stat.
getting the ball as much, and he still led the league in rushing attempts. So that just goes to show how the game's changing.
Yeah. Yeah. They were doing more of a two back system last year. Tennessee was for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's just like it's yeah. As far as the running backs, it's going to be. You're not going to see a lot of Hall of Famers coming out of that group right there.
no, that's the thing. It's like there have been criticisms levied against baseball Hall of Fame voters that they haven't appropriately adjudicated starting pitchers of the last 20 to 25 years since usage patterns have changed, where guys aren't expected to pitch 8, 9 innings a game now, you know,
Yeah.
and we'll see how that happens going forward, especially because you've got two fairly prominent starting pitchers hitting the ballot next year. You got CC Sabathia, who's got a lot of nice career accolades, a Cy Young, a World Series. He got over 3,000 strikeouts, but he somewhere around 250 wins, or I don't remember exactly. And again, I don't feel like looking it up right now. Then you also got Felix Hernandez, who was regarded as the best pitcher in the game for at least a few seasons, won a Cy Young with a ridiculously low win total because the Mariners were kind of shitty,
Yes.
but who hit a wall and then was done pretty quickly. He didn't have like a decline like CC did.
No.
He had a stop, kind of
Yeah.
akin to Dale Murphy on like the hitter side. And a lot of people have said that's why Dale Murphy has never gotten into the Hall of Fame, because he didn't have a graceful decline. He just all of a sudden stopped being an effective player. But Felix, again, while he does the Cy Young, he doesn't have a World Series. He doesn't have the counting stat totals. Like he only got around like 150 or so wins. I don't remember where he finished with strikeouts. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Hall of Fame voters treat him. And then it's going to be
I don't
interesting
think he's
when we
going to get
see.
in.
It's going to be interesting as we see some of the guys say going forward when they hit the ballot, whether it's John Lester or when he gets there, Madison Bumgarner. I think guys like Zach Greinke, who's not officially retired yet, and then also, I mean, I think Greinke will still get in fairly easily.
I think
And
so.
then some active guys like Verlander and Scherzer, I'm pretty sure if they retire today would get in.
Yeah.
But it's going to be very interesting to see the way again that they evaluate starting pitchers going forward in terms of Hall of Fame voting. And so as we start getting to that point, it's going to be interesting to see how we evaluate running backs going forward. So like I said, Derrick Henry he's the current active leading rusher, but he only ranks 36th all time. Now, obviously, he can still get ahead of them. There have been 31 guys who have rushed for 10,000 yards in NFL history. Let's see, one, and then not all these guys are eligible yet, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 of those guys are not in the Hall of Fame. And the ones who aren't, a lot of them are guys who kind of played more recently. Now, some of these guys, like I said, aren't yet eligible, like Frank Gore and Adrian Peterson
Hmm.
and uh, LaShawn McCoy and Marshawn Lynch. But some of these guys never have gotten much traction or have even been on like finalist ballots, because the other guys are Fred Taylor. He's been a finalist. I don't think he's ever gotten close. I'm not sure if he's been a finalist. He may have only topped out at semifinalist.
Yeah, I think he's only topped
Steven
out at semi.
Jackson, I don't think I've seen him on a ballot. Corey Dillon, I don't think I've seen him on a ballot. Warwick Dunn, I think never got past semifinalist. Ricky Waters, I don't think ever got past semifinalist.
Mm-mm.
Jamal Lewis, I don't think ever got past semifinalist. Thomas Jones, I don't think ever was even a semifinalist. Tiki Barber only just was a semifinalist for the first time this year.
Yeah.
Um, Eddie George, I don't think has ever been a finalist. Otis Anderson, I don't think was ever seriously considered. And Ricky Williams, I don't think was ever seriously considered.
No.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. I switched the basketball game off for a moment to look that up, and I come back and I see them looking at the monitor again.
Oh yeah. Another, let's see it, I guess, call for a foul. But yeah, yeah, it's just it's the evolution of the game. It's ups and downs. What positions are more important than others in this current time, current style of play, and all that stuff. So just like all the other sports too, like you're talking about evaluation of pitchers. It's going to be interesting considering the fact that pitchers nowadays, starters pitch what, 5, 6, 7 innings, and the relievers are more, do more work. That's going to cut down on like a bunch of different stats, innings pitched and some other things, chances to win games or wins might not be as high as you would expect it because, relievers come in and blow games all the time now these days. So, a lot of no decisions for a lot of these pitchers. So
Mhm.
that's gonna be part of the evaluation you're gonna have to look at too, because they can't overlook that at all in regards to it.
Yeah, that's actually makes me curious about something you said now. I'm just looking at the Yankees starting staff real quick. Nestor Cortez, 22 starts, 13 decisions. Carlos Rodon, 21 starts, 17 decisions. Marcus Stroman, 21 starts, 12 decisions. Luis Heel, 20 starts, 15 decisions. Clark Schmidt, 11 and 8. Garrett Cole, 7 and 5. Cody Poteet, 4 and 3. Actually, that's a higher percentage than I would have thought, actually,
Yeah.
for what that's worth.
Yeah, yeah, true, true. 100%.
But I mean, obviously, Stroman didn't get a decision last night because he got knocked out in like the fourth inning, and then the game went extra innings
Yeah.
because it was a typical. It was a typical mid 2000s Yankee Red Sox Fenway Park game. And the fact that it was played on, that it was broadcast on Fox, and the fact that it was high scoring and it was ridiculous. And I'm glad I didn't watch a fucking second of it live.
You've been driving yourself crazy.
Well, I can't watch Fox games because of John Smoltz. If I'm
Mm,
watching a Fox game, the television is muted. I cannot stand
yeah,
the motherfucker.
I
And
know.
apparently, and I was watching before I went to bed fairly late last night. I was watching a highlight reel then on YouTube, and at one point they had somebody else in the booth with them, and he was doing. You're gonna be mad at me. He was doing his best low volume Ken Harrelson impression, as like the Red Sox were hitting. He's like, "Oh, get down, get down." And then I'm like going through the comments to try to figure out who the fuck this was. It was Matt Damon. I don't know why he was in the booth. I don't know what the fuck he's promoting. I haven't seen that he's in any movie coming out in the near future. And obviously, he's a complete Red Sox fan, which is fine. That doesn't mean you have to go put him in the fucking booth.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. So speaking of the basketball game here, they were looking at a possession where Embiid, the guy came in the middle, and it looked like they had already called a foul, and Embiid was trying to like he was in the midair and he kind of like swatted at the ball per se, but like he was the way the guy fell, he was trying to hold him up, or so he wouldn't fall hard, and they called a flagrant on that on Embiid. Yeah,
So the U.S. is playing two teams in this game.
yes. They're up by 10, but yeah, it was
Yeah.
very,
So I suppose things, yeah, because again, I haven't been looking at every single minute. And obviously, I'm trying to focus on you more so than the game. But when it's come to the officiating in this game, what I've seen is a lot of shit.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm probably going to talk to my dad tonight, mostly to yell at him for canceling on me on Friday. I still want to go see the movie myself, um, but I'm just going to say, hey, did you watch the basketball game today? And if so, my first question is going to be, my next question after that is going to, when he says, I'm sure, because I'm sure he'll say yes, unless he didn't get himself out of bed early enough. That's the way he is anymore. But if he says yes, my next question then is going to be, the officiating was balls, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's dicey. It's legit dicey.
Again, it's people can keep saying it's the FIBA rules and everything, but I'm like, yeah, very well may be, but I've seen inconsistency in the foul calls then in this game. Again, I didn't see the Embiid play that you just described, so I can't compare it to the Durant hip check. But um, there's a reason Tim Duncan stopped playing international.
Yeah, he hated it.
I'm pretty sure after they lost, what was it in '04? I'm pretty sure the quote I remember seeing from him said FIBA sucks.
Yeah, he hated FIBA. It's
Yeah,
sad because, one of
because I
our,
think he felt like he was getting, you know, used and abused by the opposing team, like in every game. Like they were able to bump him, knock him, whatever they wanted to him all fucking game long. And if he again put a fingernail on another guy, he got called for a foul.
yeah, yeah, it was horrendous. Like, and it's sad, having a great NBA player like that, being one and done, in the Olympics because of shit like that. That's the sad part, unfortunately. But yeah, let's see. They just got to and one, or did they call the foul before the basket? Let's see. They haven't put up the score yet.
I think the game in the basket. They must have because he only took one foul shot.
Oh, yep, they put it up there. Okay. 60, yep, they 65.
So there were two other things I wanted to cover. I don't know what else you had in
No,
mind.
no, I'm good. I'm good with I mean the obvious one is, San Diego Comic-Con. I mean, we've kind of ranted on about a lot of other stuff today, but
Yeah.
I am very surprised, confused, um not sure where Marvel is going now.
No, I mean we know that they had to make a massive pivot because they decided to cut ties with Jonathan Majors, which I finally finished watching season 2 of Loki. I got to admit, there's a part of me that wanted to see where they were going to keep going with that character.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder why they just didn't recast it.
Yeah. I just felt they probably felt that
Like there wasn't going to be
recast.
a Heath Ledger if you recast the Joker outcry to this one,
No, I don't think there would have been, but
or if you recast T'Challa.
yeah, but I think the fact that if they would have recast, I don't think it would have had the same emphasis on it as it would have been if he wouldn't have had his personal situation happen and whatnot.
Yeah,
So I think they decided to pivot. Now, since I have not seen Deadpool yet, oh, by the way, there's one post scene credit for Deadpool and Wolverine, right? What kind?
they're okay. So without getting spoilery, Deadpool and Wolverine credits. There is a mid-credit extended sequence set to a timeless Green Day song,
Okay.
which is just that. It's totally self-contained. There's no deeper meaning. You'll see what I mean. I don't want to spoil what it is, though.
Gotcha. I just wanted to make sure because someone the initial reports said that there was one, then somebody said there was two, and I was like, no, I think it's one. So
Yeah, so
since you thought,
that's in the middle of the credits.
I just
There is one post-credit scene. All I will say about it, because again, don't want to get spoilery, it does nothing to set up anything in the future.
okay,
Like there's no consequence to it. I mean, definitely stick around to see it. There's
gotcha.
just like you don't have to see it though to understand what's going to happen next or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. I have a feeling they weren't really going to do too much with that. But with that being said, um, I've been watching a lot of Comic Con clips on from comicbook.com live about, DC, Marvel, and other things that I do follow. And I know we had the Fantastic Four coming up, and that's going to be set in what, the 60s or 70s? But it's going to be part of it's going to have consequences or be part of phase 5, and will have consequences for the future. So my biggest thing is when they announced the change to the Avengers, one of the Avengers movie, um, that's coming out May of 2026, the Doomsday version. Seems like they're heavily going with Fantastic Four villains per se, but while I was watching the panel and the two of them, the brothers talk, and he said multiverse. I'm like, and then the Doom's characters come out, and then it's reported that Robert Downey Jr. will now be playing Doctor Doom. Okay, is the Fantastic Four set in the same universe, but or not? Because I have a feeling that this Fantastic Four is set in a alternate universe, maybe the alternate universe that we see with the end of the Marvels, where so and so goes into the other universe where the X-Men are. I don't know. Maybe,
Mm,
maybe not. But I think I think they're gonna take this multiverse shit to the next level because I'm not sure if I like it. To be honest with you, as much as I like Robert Downey Jr., I don't know. I don't know if I'm down with this yet.
well,
I need context, I need story, I need more because this is like you like playing complex characters. That's great. Doctor Doom's one of them, but you just made a living off Iron Man, and now you're going to the opposite side. And listen, when you start bringing the multiverse, yeah, whatever. You could do whatever you want with that, but it's like, oof, I don't know. I don't know, dude. I need more context and story. I need to see what's going on because I'm not 100% on board yet.
yeah. So you mentioned the phases. So according to Wikipedia, take those caveats with that. Phase 5 will be coming to an end next year with Captain America: Brave New World and Thunderbolts.
Yeah,
That's it.
isn't
That's it for Phase 5.
Okay.
We've seen the first trailer for Captain America: Brave New World now. I know AJ said he didn't. I don't think he said he didn't like it, but he says he doesn't like Falcon. He doesn't like Anthony Mackie, so he's not really looking forward to this. Um, I am, of course, because Harrison Ford.
AKA Red Hulk.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna like that, and I'm trying to figure out how they convinced him to take, because obviously he's replacing William Hurt, who of course passed away.
Yes.
I'm still trying to figure out how they convinced him to take this role. I haven't really seen anything about that, but anyway. And then of course, in Thunderbolts is going to feature Ford as Thunderbolt Ross again, and will feature Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes, Hannah John Kamen as Ghost from Ant-Man 2, Wyatt Russell as John Walker from Falcon and Winter Soldier, Julia Louis-Dreyfus will be in it again. Florence Pugh and David Harbour will be in it from their Black Widow characters, and of course Florence Pugh was also in Hawkeye,
Hmm.
and a couple of others in anything. So yeah,
And did you notice that they have the asterisk next to the name?
yes.
And I
Well, that's what I was just
read,
trying to figure out, because on Wikipedia they have the asterisk next to the name, and I'm like, why did they designate that? But I said that it's part
so
of the thing.
what I read yesterday that was divulged at Comic-Con is that the asterisk there is for a reason, and by the end of the movie you will know why the asterisk is there. So the rumor is that this team can be the initial rumor is that this team can become the Dark Avengers, or the other aspect is there's a couple other team names that these people have been on before in comic book lore. So their name could change from the Thunderbolts to something else
Suicide
and,
Squad?
and be yeah, right. And be a more villainous group. Maybe not the Dark Avengers, but one of the other groups that have been in Marvel history. So I
Well,
think
I'm just gonna say I really hope it's not. I mean, obviously a lot of these characters were kind of villainous in their prior appearances. Ghost, John Walker,
mhm,
Julia Louis Dreyfus's character, obviously, to an extent, Florence Pugh and David Harbour's characters, to an extent, Thunderbolt Ross too. But Bucky was redeemed, man. So if he goes
I
back to
know.
being a bad guy, that's gonna little salty on that one if that's where they go with it.
Yeah. Some of the other teams that they've mentioned, and I can't remember off the top of my head, some of them are kind of like Suicide Squad-esque type of teams or just anti-hero type of teams. So let's see if like Bucky's the one who like leads this team or not. Who knows? But that's
Talk about
it's
another term that's getting overused these days, along with multiverse, though. Anti-hero.
yes, yes, I know. 100%.
God damn you, Clint Eastwood and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
But at the end of the day, they're probably not going to be the Thunderbolts. They will be something else, and we'll find out by the end of the movie. So,
Yeah, so I
um,
mean, I can't say my anticipation level for that is high. I'll just wait to see what they do.
yeah, I
Because I
mean,
mean that movie is almost a year away still.
yeah.
So phase six, they have four movies announced. And one of them, based upon the release date that they have here, I can't see it happening.
Well,
I'll
one's
tell you,
supposed to be Fantastic Four,
and
right?
I'll tell you why in a minute. So the first one is the Fantastic Four First Steps,
Yeah, that's the new
which is
name of
set
the
to come
movie.
out almost exactly a year from now, July 25th, 2025.
Yep.
The other ones that are listed here are Blade, which is scheduled for
Yes.
November 7th, 2025. And of course, this is Mahershala Ali playing Blade.
And that's gone through a shit ton of director changes and all that stuff.
But
That
that's
that
what I mean. Right now, for director on this, it says TBA.
I know.
If you don't have a director, how are you making a release date in 16 months?
No,
You're not.
that's gonna get pushed back.
And then Avengers Doomsday on May 1st, 2026, and Avengers Secret Wars on May 7th, 2027. Now, of
Yes.
course, Avengers Doomsday was originally called Avengers the Kang Dynasty.
Yep.
Avengers Secret Wars was still called that.
Yes.
Now,
Now,
regarding
what
Fantastic Four movie, what it says here is this. So, of course, We're getting Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm. Just saw him in A Quiet Place Day One. And Evan Moss Bacharach, I could be mispronouncing his name, as Ben Grimm. Julia Garner as Silver Surfer, Ralph Ineson as Galactus, and John Malkovich, Paul Walter Hauser, and Natasha Lyonne will also be in it. In late June, Feig confirmed that the film will be a period piece set in the 1960s and in an alternate universe rather than the main MCU continuity.
So I thought, but it's going to become part of the MCU at some point.
So, knowing that now, which I did not know this morning, I had not seen that yet. I guess I can understand how Robert Downey Jr. could be Doctor Doom. I'm just still not loving it. Again, I'll wait for the final execution, but obviously this is going to mean some kind of melding with the multiverse, and inevitably, whether they bring back Chris Evans as Captain America or Chris Hemsworth as Thor or whoever is still going to be kicking around from the original Avengers. When they see Doctor Doom with Tony Stark's face, oh my god, how's it?
We'll see how we'll see what they do with that.
It's already giving me a headache for the scenes that I know are going to have to happen, especially because he's going to be all like, I do not know this Tony Stark, Iron Man. I am Victor Von Doom. Blah, 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 blah. All I can say is this. One of the things that I never watched the second Fantastic Four movie. And when I say the second Fantastic Four movie, I don't mean Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer. I mean the one they did a couple years ago where they tried to reboot it with fucking Miles Teller, who I still think sucks, and whoever the fuck else was in the movie. I never watched that Fantastic Four, but
Neither did I.
from what I understand, the Doctor Doom in that movie was lackluster at best. From the first two Fantastic Four movies, the Ioan Gruffudd, Jessica Alba, Chris Evans, Michael Chiklis ones, I thought Julian McMahon as Doctor Doom, frankly, sucked in those two movies. I thought he was completely uninteresting.
Yeah, he wasn't that great.
And it's like, to me, Doctor Doom, again, I was always much more DC than Marvel growing up. But to me, Doctor Doom was like the definitive Marvel villain because I knew him much more than any Spider Man villain, than Thanos, than Loki, than anybody else you could throw out as a Marvel villain. To me, Doctor Doom, first of all, how can you go wrong with that name? You
Yeah,
know?
he was always like the main guy.
I had the one Doctor Doom action figure. I'm like, wow, this guy looks fucking awesome. I didn't say that when I was 8 years old, but
Really, the main two villains.
that was my thought. So it's like, to me, it's like Doctor Doom was the one villain you can't screw up, and they've already screwed him up twice. I know that was a different company and blah blah blah. So I don't know that the right move is to have him be portrayed by an actor who is pretty goddamn beloved by this community, and I just don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, growing up reading comics and cartoons, like Doctor Doom and Magneto were the two most popular villains that I remember growing up. Like the rest of them were kind of like side villains, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
They weren't anybody that was really featured, not to like late 90s, early 2000s per se.
yeah. I'm sure somebody could argue with me, and I'm not saying it's an invalid argument by any means. Well, the focus should be on the heroes. Yes, it should. But as
You have weak villains, doesn't make the story better.
right, as this is why I'm laughing. As an old Disney Channel Halloween special once revealed years ago, where is the hero without the great villain?
Of course, it's a simple story.
Doesn't having a great villain make the hero all the more memorable for conquering him?
Yep,
You know, or her.
100%.
You know, where is Superman without Lex Luthor or Batman without the Joker? You know,
Yeah,
so
100%.
and obviously those guys have many more villains, of course, but those are always going to be the definitive ones for those two characters. So you need great villains. Like I said, the only great villains that I've really felt Marvel has ever had have been Magneto, Loki, and Thanos. And of course, Loki's not totally a villain now. We don't really
No,
know what he is now with the way that season 2 of Loki ended, but I wouldn't really call him a villain.
no, he's not.
Yeah. I don't even know if I call him an anti-hero anymore because, especially in season 2, none of his actions were anti-heroic. He
No.
was literally trying to save everything.
Yeah. He like turned the corner to become more of the hero aspect than he ever
Yeah,
was.
and it's like I think Sylvie called him out for being selfish when he said, "I miss my friends."
I know, go figure. That was a little like,
But it's
okay.
like, okay, selfish maybe, but you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. Um, Again, I even commented on some YouTube channel that I follow that had a poll question about thoughts about Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom and like it or not. And I said don't like it, but then I commented, well, it's ultimately going to depend upon its execution. But right now, I just got to say, can't really get behind it so much. So the U.S. is starting to pull away, which is nice, but
They are. They definitely
let's
are.
not slack off here in the fourth quarter either,
Yes.
which I don't think they will. But
But you never know.
I love seeing so many different fans in the stands with different NBA team jerseys on,
I
though,
know. I know. It's funny. It's definitely funny.
because it
What
makes me
was,
wonder. It makes me wonder if they're American or not.
yeah. No,
You can never be
100%.
100% sure at the Olympics where the spectators are from.
Yeah. So what was the other topic you wanted to bring up before we get too long with our podcast
I
today?
don't want to go blow by blow over overbooking fiasco from Wednesday night, but I will say this. The biggest complaint I've had about everything that they've done with the elite ever since they've been like, we're running the show and we're going to beat the shit out of Tony Khan and never have anything come of it, really. We said
Yeah.
that there was really no reason for the blood and guts match to be happening, especially after they did Anarchy in the Arena so short time period ago.
Just a lot of spot fest gimmicky matches with that group that kind
Yes.
of really have no true substance. They're just there.
Right. It's like you can't keep doing war games every month, especially if the heel team is not vanquished in some way. And that's what I just want to comment on. The match, of course, was ridiculous, but I was mostly entertained by it.
I was. There's some good spots. I
Yeah.
enjoyed the
There,
match
there were some good
overall.
spots. There were some inventive spots. There were some spots that made me roll my eyes, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. The
When they
chair
brought
shot.
out when they brought out the staple gun, I wanted to start going CZ Dub, CZ Dub, and then realized nobody would ever fucking do that except a complete mark for that company.
Yeah.
But when they started stapling Swerve and then he just started laughing, I couldn't help but be entertained by that because one, it does kind of help Swerve's character show he is a badass, and they really fucked up Swerve's character in so many ways since he won the championship.
100%.
But it also, in a way, was some more meta commentary that using a staple gun in a wrestling match, even if it's a highly gimmick hardcore match like this, is pretty stupid. But anyway, the one thing that I want to criticize is the end
Mm, I would
for
have done
on
it
two
differently.
on two fronts.
I would definitely done it differently.
Yeah. Number one, you really can't threaten to light somebody on fire and then not light something on fire,
Correct.
which is why, of course, I'm opposed to using fire in wrestling matches. What's the point ultimately? Oh, the Dudley Boys power bomb so and so through a flaming table. Who cares?
Different.
I'm sorry, who cares? You know, we were saying what was the reason for this match to exist? What was the point? What were the stakes? Yes, these five guys all have beefs with the elite of various sorts, but they've also not been greatly defined. Okay, the acclaimed want to get the tag titles. Okay, Darby's got issues here. Swerve's been basically saying the elite suck, which is fine. And as the champion of the company, it's kind of good that he's standing against them. But again, it's kind of like, yeah, but
And
and same with
Hangman,
Winston.
they're rehashing the old Hangman Swerve
Yeah,
story, which I'm not a big fan
yeah,
of right
that's
now.
that's how they ended up. That's how they ended up encompassing that. So the match ends when Darby threatens to set Jungle Jack off on fire.
Mhm.
He refuses. So he's got to be a badass now because there he was tied up to the cage with the threat of being lit on fire, which would have fucking killed him. And he's still not going to quit. He's a badass that I could still beat up with one fucking arm.
Mhm.
And then Matthew quits the match for him.
Mhm.
But why did Darby threaten to set him on fire? So Darby could get a TNT title match at All In. So that was the stake for that match?
Not just bragging rights, but for Darby to get a title shot at All In.
When you come right down to it, that means that Darby only joined the match for his own interest. He didn't care about AEW. He didn't care about his four teammates.
Nope. Yep.
And again, I know some people would say, well, you're criticizing there not being any stakes. What were the stakes in the original War Games matches? Well, the stakes were just that people wanted to see the Horsemen get beat up.
Yeah.
Finally, that was the point, which was enough then, because that's all you needed to
Yeah.
sell.
Yeah.
So,
Different story. The thing about the fire thing is this is how I would have done it. If you were going to sit there and tease fire, you have to do something. So what I would have done, first off, the chair shot, unprotected chair shot. I know he was tied up, but I don't care how rigged or if that chair was rigged or not. I don't give a shit. Use Listen, Briscoe knows how to give chair shots. I feel like he kind of let loose on that one and just let it fly. I feel like Jack Perry has something to prove or wants to prove something that he really doesn't need to, but whatever. It's
yeah, he
another
wants to prove that he's a fucking badass because he knows everybody says that he's a little piece of shit, which he is.
yeah. So
And because he
whatever.
got his ass kicked by CM Punk.
So
They're still fighting the ghost.
he's trying to prove himself, whatever. But so as far as the fire point's concerned, I would have done it this way, where I would have taken the lighter fluid or gasoline
That's
and
the thing.
put
Of course, I really, really hope it wasn't really lighter fluid or gasoline, just because who wants to be drenched in that shit?
no, it probably wasn't. It probably wasn't at all.
Well,
So
yeah, that's what I mean, especially since they didn't actually light anything on fire.
no. So I would have put it around his feet and poured it on his legs, below his knees and his feet and around the ring, and did the thing where he goes to him and Perry's like, no. And I would have lit that on fire and have
Yeah.
one of the guys, someone with a fire extinguisher, blew it out and have Matthew go and ape shit, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. And then go over. And then what I would do is I would take the rest of the stuff in the gas can, pour it on his head at that point, and then go up to Matthew and be like, I want this. And if you don't do it, I'm going to light his ass on fire. So if I don't get this, he's Jack's being lit on fire. And then, taunt him, slowly go back, put he's going to light it, and then have Matthew cave in and say, I quit. You get your title shot at All In, blah, 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 blah. Like do something different. Like it's like a big escalation, big heights, and then you just fell off the cliff.
Yeah. Now, what you described, I think would have been really cool. But I would not have trusted them to pull it off because if there's one thing that this company still, after 5 fucking years, really sucks balls at, it's like logistical shit and planning shit. Look how long it took them to get Swerve out of the fucking handcuffs.
And
And I
our
understand
friend,
you can be fumbling, you can be slipping, your hands are sweaty and shit like that. You're trying to do it quick, but goddamn, you got to make sure that you do that quick. Because
it's
when Nana came down with the bolt cutters, and the announcers didn't help for this because it took them a second to remember what they were fucking supposed to say.
yeah,
Um, I thought Nana was going to cut him out of the cuffs,
yeah.
and
And
then of
and
course they said, "Oh no, he's got to cut through the cage because they've locked the cage."
and the thing about it is the handcuffs are not easy to
Yeah,
unlock, period. So you can sit there and put the key in, perfectly and turn it. And there's times when you do that and the fucking things don't want to unlock. So especially if you don't have like really good handcuffs, like the official handcuffs the police use, yeah, even they struggle getting handcuffs off people at times. So it's not easy. So like I get the criticism of that, but it's definitely not easy to do that. So yeah, it kind of messed up the flow a tad bit in regards to that, but I don't think it was too detrimental because you don't want to just cut the chain in between the handcuffs and then Swerve going in with like a handcuff on his wrist doing stuff because that could have fucked something up too.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it's handcuffs aren't easy. It's definitely not. But yeah, it's once again, it's the small aspects of the storytelling, the details that are still hampering them. So, you know,
yeah. So what's still hampering AEW? Yeah, small details, you know, and obviously, of course, their leader. But you mentioned the unprotected chair shot, which I was kind of like my eyes were darting a lot, especially at that point in the match because the match was going on so long at that point.
yeah,
Um, so my full attention. I don't know if I actually saw the unprotected chair shot, or if I did, it didn't really register with me. So I don't think I saw it completely. You know what I mean? I think my gaze was turned away. But obviously, that's become a big question in the days since. So let me just go straight to the horse's mouth, as they say.
go for it.
On his little glorification call, I'm sorry, conference call with the media for the ROH show, Jason Powell of ProWrestling.net asked Tony Khan about the unprotected chair shot and cited, of course, the fact that Tony is very closely related to the ownership of an NFL team where concussion issues and CTE is a big fucking deal, meaning that he should know. I'm not going to read the full question because it'll take so long. This was Tony's response. Now, I think there's one set of ellipses here, but I'm sure it didn't leave out much of context because of how much they did reprint exactly here.
Gotcha.
Just what he said. It's a great ding question, and it was a very nuanced question. There's a couple of different things in there, and I think the nuance you added to it made it an even better series of questions. I love that we analyze the mechanics of pro wrestling and the things going on. I do like to leave some of the art of this and some of the kayfabe of this in the wrestling, and I think that's the best way to do it. But I thought it was a great match. Everybody came out of it in great shape, all things considered. I mean, everyone is beat up bad, but to be honest, this is probably the least major injuries we've ever had coming out of a blood and guts match or one of these very brutal multi-man death matches. And I'm glad everyone's going to be okay. It's a really beat up group, but all things considered, came out very well. I think it's a great ding question. I don't think all these spots are created equal. There's different spots, different ways to do things. I don't want to compare apples to oranges necessarily. I think it's a great ding question. There's definitely some mystery to be left how things are done and how things might be done now might not be the same way they would be done 25 years ago just to do the same spots, for example. But I think it was a great ding, nuanced question, and I appreciate you asking. Thanks, Jason.
That answers nothing.
What the fuck did he just say other than nothing?
He said nothing.
He
Yes,
basically,
there's nuances. Yes, we all know that. There's nuances of throwing a punch, taking the punch, chair shots to the back, chair shots to the head. But sorry, that wasn't a protected chair shot from the person giving it that
yeah.
we've seen in pro wrestling in the past.
Now,
Stop with the fucking nuances of
yeah,
I don't want to decay fame and how things are. Shut the fuck up.
yeah. Now, he was asked specifically if the chair was gimmicked. Okay. And he didn't want to answer that. He can make up all the excuses about kayfabe that he wants.
I need to go watch.
He's out there doing all these conference calls and post show scrums and every other thing. So don't try to hide behind kayfabe now.
Yeah, no, I need to go watch Busted Open because I know Bully Ray and all of them talked about the chair shot, and I need to go listen to them and see what they're at. You know, Tommy Dreamer, Bully Ray. We know hardcore is hardcore right there, but they also know there's definitely ways to go about doing it, and I didn't get a chance to listen to them and see what they thought about it.
Yeah. Now they pointed out something that happened 5 years ago when Sean Spears, using a gimmick chair, gave an unprotected chair shot to Cody, and Cody got a concussion.
Yeah.
And
Gimmick
Tony called
chair.
it, and Tony at the time called it pilot error.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, just a
No,
user error for Christ's sake. He wasn't piloting a motherfucking airplane for Christ's sake.
I don't want to hear that shit.
So I'm just like, this was a really terrible answer by a
Yeah.
guy who, once again, takes 100 words to say what 10 will suffice.
Yeah.
But guess what? He wasn't the only one who gave a bad answer about that question.
Oh no. Who else did?
When asked about it by SI.com's Justin Barrasso, who is really another shill for these assholes,
Yeah.
Nicholas, I want to make sure it's Nicholas, said this: all I know is Jack is fine, and that's all that matters. We know the risk we're taking in the ring, and it wouldn't have happened if he wasn't prepared for it. Okay. Now there was another quote. Okay. Oh, okay. They have a GIF of the shot. I mean, he's half throwing, half swinging the chair. It would have been better if he had just thrown it at him.
Yeah.
There would have been less force behind it.
Yep.
Um,
First glance, I thought it was unnecessary, but you know, we'll see.
there's something else I saw. Maybe now it wasn't on Cage Side. Now I'm trying to find it. I think it was in Facebook. Yeah, maybe this is it. I know it was the same quote. Okay, so essentially and I'm just going to lump them together because they practically are. What the Bucks are basically saying here is, well, Jack's fine, so that's all that matters. Okay, I'm glad he's fine. I don't like the
Yeah.
son of a bitch, but I don't want to see him get fucking brain damage unnecessarily. Um, but they're also essentially hiding behind the kayfabe here. Really?
Now we're gonna hide behind
The
kayfabe all of a
killing
sudden.
the business motherfuckers are gonna hide behind kayfabe?
I know. Seems a little hypocritical.
Well, yeah, and that's what most Christian conservatives are. No, I'm not sorry for that one.
I know you're not.
Seriously, when I saw Harrison Bucker post some thing on Twitter, I saw about this in response to some shit that happened at the fucking opening ceremonies, thinking that it was mocking the Last Supper, and it's like, who cares if they're mocking the depiction of the Last Supper as painted by Leonardo da Vinci? How do you know that's how the Last Supper actually went down? You don't.
I know
But
you
I just
don't.
posted a comment on what he said by saying, "Oh, I always love it when people quote scripture so much like this because they also usually demonstrate they have a fundamental misunderstanding of the words that they quote."
Correct.
But anyway, it's just so ridiculous. If you don't want to be faced with questions about it, and he tries to butter these assholes that sit in these fucking things all the time by saying how great their questions are. But if you don't want to answer the question, then don't do the action that's going to cause the question.
Correct.
I'm not done with my Tony Khan criticism because a few months ago, when he was selling his injury from when the Bucks Meltzer drived him, or I'm sorry, Tony Khan drivered him
Oh yeah.
during that thing with the draft, and he kind of panicked the interviewers when he referred to WWE as the Harvey Weinstein of wrestling when AEW was the Pepsi. Again, totally mixing analogies
Yeah.
every fucking which way but loose. Um, More recently, like I think as recently as like a week or so ago, he said he'd be open to working with WWE because obviously that's a bit of a hot button topic, both because AEW is doing their shit with New Japan and CMML and AA and AAA with the Forbidden Door bullshit, and of course WWE is doing stuff between NXT and TNA now.
Yes, which is good.
So a couple months ago, they're Harvey Weinstein. A couple weeks ago, they're well, we could work with them. A couple
It,
days ago,
it'd be difficult.
he was asked about the ongoing TV deal negotiations. All he said was it's premature to say that a deal is in place because there were some reports that a deal was in place. But as the next question was about to be asked, all of a sudden, without provocation, this is what he said. I don't usually do this, but since Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, brought it up and asked, I had a major member of the wrestling media mention to me yesterday. WWE is telling people that, and I don't know why WWE is telling people about our media rights deal. I don't really understand why WWE PR calls people and talks about my business. WWE PR is telling people that the deal is done and that the deal is done at the same level that it was going to be our previous deal. That's not the case. I don't know why WWE PR and why major wrestling media members who are very credible and have never lied to me, I don't know why they're telling people that. It's none of their business. I mean, WWE PR really gets involved in a lot of things they shouldn't get involved in. And I can tell you that is very untrue because when we make a deal for AEW, it's going to be a great thing deal with a big increase over what we've been doing. We're in a really good, oh, not great position. We've been doing great thing business here despite what they're trying to do to us. Thanks. I think Tony needs to lay off the Bolivian marching powder.
It just to me, like seriously, I don't think WWE. I know I'm not, I don't work there, but like seriously, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit what their fucking media deal is going to be. They don't care at all. There's no reason for them to do anything in regards to the media deal because their deals are done. They don't give a shit. They're doing their own thing like they always do. Now, is there somebody within WWE trying to do something because they have ill will against AEW or maybe someone that worked there? Tony pissed off or whatever and now works for WWE and they're trying to throw some shit out there. Maybe so. And if that's the case, they need to find out and get rid of that person. But with that being said, at the end of the day, I would be pissed. I would be super pissed if I was Nick Khan and Triple H and fucking read that shit. Because to be honest with you, if I was one of those two, I would do a little internal thing just to double check to make sure no one on our side is doing anything. And then I would contact him and be like, yo, fuck nut. We ain't saying shit. So knock it off.
Yeah. So, like I said, he went on that tangent without being asked. It just started spilling out of his mouth. He has no self control. He always needs to try to make himself look like he's a victim again. This goes back to the whole thing where he went on that rant a couple of years ago talking about, I'm not going to stand for this. I've got a lot more money than Jim Crockett did.
Yeah, it
He's
pissed
trying
me
to
off
say that
too.
WWE is bullying him and victimizing him. This probably all stems back to when Nick Khan in that interview a couple of years ago constantly referred to him as the kid, which is why, especially when I'm
Yeah.
commenting on like cage side seats and other stuff, I always refer to him as TK because what can TK also stand for? The kid. I just find that funny. You may not find that funny. I don't care. I do. So, but this is the money quote to me from this little thing. I had a major member of the wrestling media mention to me yesterday WWE is telling people about our media rights deal. And I excised a few words there which weren't necessary.
Uncle Dave. Yeah.
I
Oh, okay.
wonder who the major member of the wrestling media could have possibly fucking been.
Uncle Dave
Uncle Dave strikes again.
with some bullshit.
A lot of people online and these comment boards that I frequent, which is really just cage side seats, which again is part of the SB Nation network for those who don't know. A lot of people have said Dave used to have sources in WWE
Hmm.
and he doesn't now. And so he makes shit up.
Not
And
like
I
he
think
thinks he
when you
does.
see him report stuff about WWE, it's pretty telling, especially if it pertains to CM Punk.
Oh God, yeah.
Now, Punk gave the word this past week that of course that he's cleared and we'll see the match on Saturday and blah blah blah. But Meltzer kept saying like at least once a week, well, he may be cleared, he may not be cleared. We will have to wait and see.
Yeah, no shit.
And so when it was announced that Punk was cleared and everything on Monday, I'm pretty sure on one of the Cage Side Seats articles, I put in a comment. I said, Uncle Dave is currently reporting that the match may happen. We'll have to wait and see. After Punk announced that he was cleared. Now, obviously, Meltzer didn't actually do that, but you could see him doing it, couldn't you?
Yeah, 100%.
So again, I want AEW to be a good company. I have given up any hope of them being so as long as Tony Khan pretends to be a boss and a booker,
Yep.
because he's neither.
Hmm.
He is a matchmaker, as in he's got a whiteboard or something in his office with everybody who's on his roster, except for those 50 people who you never see. And he just he'll like arrange them. He probably has like the little magnets with their names on it, like they use it like in like the drafts and shit like that. Probably just like randomly mix them up and put like, well, you'll have the faces on one side and the heels on one side, if he even bothers to do that with them, which he probably doesn't. And he just starts going like this, I think. Oh, there's a dream match.
100%.
Christian Cage against Pac.
100%.
Dream match.
Yep.
So
I
he's a
agree with you.
matchmaker in the
Yeah.
sense that he just puts 2 people or 4 people or 12 people in a fucking match and says, that's our match.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter why.
And a side note here, it still baffles me that this is still going on, considering the fact that some of the people he's hired, it's like some of these former writers and stuff like that. I'm like, if he's hired people in positions to do what in the parts that he needs help with or the company's struggling with their deficiencies, but yet these former people from WWE or other promotions are coming in and it's really not making a difference. It's like
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of those things where when I get frustrated with people at work, they hear me, but they're not listening to me. And I just feel like that's what he's doing, or that's what's happening within the
Like
doors of AEW.
I've seen recent, like, I don't remember if they're in the Cage Side Seats Daily rumor roundup article or in other articles. They keep making occasional reference to this female ex WWE employee. I don't know exactly what her position was in WWE. I just don't remember, who they've brought into AEW now because supposedly she was really close to Sasha.
It
And
was
it
one of
said that,
she was a writer.
yeah, and it said that she's been working with Sasha since they've both been in AEW now. And yes, I'm going to keep referring to her as Sasha. Just deal with it. Um, and that she's been working really closely with Sasha, and that she's been getting a lot of credit for um, the work Sasha's been doing lately. And I'm like, her fucking promos are still trash. Just because they've now finally decided that yes, she's a goddamn heel, and they put Britt up against her, and they're going to give Britt the supreme babyface push because she's been gone for so long. So of course she was going to get that, even though I'm now convinced that she works better as a heel too. But again, she wasn't going to be booed after being gone for so long,
No.
especially when she comes out and she says she had a kind of a stroke.
Yeah, she's not going to get heat for that.
That person's not getting booed. So this is obviously what they had to do.
Yeah.
So it's like if somebody's trying to take credit, oh well, we
Mm.
decided to run Mercedes Britt. Really? My dead grandfather could have booked that.
Oh
That's a
Lord.
bit of a Gordon Ramsay reference there. If anybody watches the Kitchen Nightmares, there was one episode where he's like, "My grandmother can cook better than this, and she's dead."
Oh my God. Yeah, I can see him saying that for sure.
So I want AEW to be good. Look, I'm glad people are getting paid. This was something else that I think it was yesterday or the day before. They mentioned that Buddy Matthews just got re-upped by AEW for a
Yeah.
lucrative deal. And this was after he had asked to be released not very long ago. And obviously you can see why. He probably wants to go back to WWE to be with his fucking wife.
Yeah, of
Totally
course.
get that. But between Cody and Punk and Sean Spears and Jade, and now especially Ethan Page.
Hmm.
Tony just didn't want to lose anybody to WWE right now. Didn't matter who it was. And so he gave Buddy Matthews probably a lot more money than Buddy Matthews is worth. And again, I'm glad Buddy Matthews is getting paid. Good for
Yeah,
him. Okay. Good for him. Take that billionaire's fucking money.
of course. That's
But when you're
100%
looking
every
at
day.
this from somebody who's supposed to be running a business, there is no way Buddy Matthews is going to generate revenue to justify his contract.
No,
And even though somebody actually gave a pretty good idea, there was no way that if Buddy Matthews had gone back to WWE, it would have mattered that much.
mm,
There was no belt that they would have suddenly just thrown on him to further kick it into AEW's face. Now, somebody did say they could involve him in the current Dom Rhea storyline
of,
pretty
of,
easily.
of
And I
course.
said, and after the guy posted that, I was like, I think you have something there.
Yeah,
But
that would have been
even
interesting.
so, you're talking about him being like the fourth most important player in that story, if that would have even been what they would have done, you know. But that would have then also been trading on the fact that people know that they're married in real life, which the greater WWE audience probably doesn't. Because again, WWE is still definitely more of a casual audience than
Of course.
AEW, which is fine. That's kind of the point. Casual fans are the ones who actually keep you running, not the diehards.
100%.
Um, so, yeah, so
100%.
again, love that Buddy Matthews is getting paid. Hate that Tony Khan still pretty clearly has no clue that he's supposed to be making money doing this. Again, must be fucking nice to have so much money that you don't have to care about how much you're losing.
I know. Yep. I know.
I don't know. I don't know when it's going to happen because I don't think he's necessarily old or in ill health or anything like that. Let me look it up actually. Okay, Chad Khan is 74. So he's not incredibly old. He's
No,
younger than
no.
my dad, older than my mom.
Yeah.
So he's not incredibly old.
Mm-mm.
At this point, let's say he dies in 10 years. Somebody dying at 84 is nice long life, especially somebody who was successful and made his money legitimately, which, as far as I know, he did. Um,
Yes.
let's say AEW is still going 10 years. I hope it is. I just hope it's a lot different.
Yeah, 100%. Same here.
But let's say that all of a sudden Tony then inherits the Jaguars and inherits the Premier League team that they own. I don't remember which team it is. Oh,
Which, wh-
Fulham.
which he will. So,
Um, I don't know how good Fulham really is. Um, they're not AC Richmond, Ted Lasso reference. I binge watched that show last month. Loved it.
I have yet to do it. I got to do that soon.
But so Tony's got to be the one managing the budgets then, presumably.
He's going to have a lot of responsibility.
I can see a scenario. Again, this is all hypothetical. I can see a scenario 10 years from now where Shad passes away, Tony inherits everything. And one of the first things Tony does
This sells.
is sells the Jaguars and Fulham so he can keep fucking running AEW. Which will prove what every naysayer about him has been saying for the last 5 years. That he's a fanboy who means well and has no clue.
I mean, it's a possibility. I mean, it could happen. He could sell something. He probably sell the European football team, the soccer football team, because he'd probably make more money off that.
I
But yeah,
guess.
yeah, it is. At the end of the day, do we want AEW to succeed? Yes. Do we like how they're going about their product right now? No. Is there pros and cons to it? Yes.
Yeah,
There are
I
things
don't
I
like.
like. Yes. There's things I don't like. 100%. Hence the learning tree. But
Yeah,
uh,
anything that Jericho touches a shit. Look, I was on the phone with my dad Wednesday night when Dynamite was going on. I think we got off like right before Blood and Guts started, But when I was reminded, like I was flipping between that and the Yankee game still at that point. The Yankees hadn't totally turned me off on Wednesday night at that point.
Mm.
But I was like trying to pay attention to what was going on at the beginning between MJF and Osprey. I didn't fully see it. But then I saw the Jericho and I remember, oh yeah, he's wrestling fucking Suzuki. I turned it off. Then I turned it back on and I said, Dad, let me describe this to you. There are two guys who are in their 50s in the ring who are throwing the worst looking chops at each other until I realized that Suzuki wasn't throwing bad chops because Jericho started bleeding from his chest. But
Hmm.
Jericho was throwing the worst looking chops ever. And of course, what Jericho would say is, well, that was the point.
Oh, I know. I know.
And of course, I would say, yeah, that was the point, just not in the way you think.
Yeah, 100%.
So everything with Jericho sucks. Still, pretty much everything with the Elite sucks. Oh, let me just say this too. I told this to AJ. I don't think he fully agreed with me, but I think he saw what I was saying.
Mhm.
Okada's messed up. There is something wrong with him
We've
because
talked about that too.
he was taking bumps the way I took bumps when we did our shit, which is I didn't know how to fall backwards directly on my back. I was scared to do it. So I would always kind of crumble to the side or just go down slowly. That's the way Okada was taking bumps in that match. Now AJ said, well, it's not really his match type, it's not his comfort zone. Okay, I can
Yeah,
get that
true.
too. It is a pure chaos match, which is why I also thought Okada would be the last guy to come out. But then the way they booked it between Page and Strickland made sense, so I didn't really mind that.
Yeah, 100%.
Um, but I think he's got to be physically messed up. Look, everybody can say he's the greatest wrestler in the world. From what I have seen of him in AEW, of course, I've seen no pay per view matches, but what I've seen of him in AEW has not impressed me. I don't see this guy as ever being the best wrestler in the world.
You gotta watch. You gotta watch his New Japan stuff
Right. But that's my
because
point. He
they're
may have been then, he is not now, and it doesn't look like he will be again.
well, it's hard because even before he came to AEW, he was still having great matches over there. But it's the I think it's the transition from New Japan to American style for him. It's a little different,
I can get that too.
and the fact of the matter is like now you're wrestling on TV. So, and I don't, you still have the TV style wrestling with the commercials, but even though they do a lot of picture in picture, you still got to pace yourself between the picture in picture. And you should, I hope, sometimes I feel like that's another thing. Like the refs aren't telling them, hey, we're at commercial, we're in picture. Don't do any big high
Yeah,
spots
don't
because I
do anything
still,
stupid while they do a fucking picture in picture commercials for Christ's sake. And they probably
because
do.
I still see that they do like some big spots or crazy stuff during picture in picture, but that's their thing. But it's just yeah, what I've seen of Okada is not the Okada that I'm used to. So
Yeah.
it's been a bit taken back by that.
And the funny thing too was there was an Uncle Dave story on the rumor roundup in the last couple of days that they intended to do Okada Omega at All In, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen due to Omega's illness. Really?
Yeah,
You
no
figured
shit.
that one out for yourself?
Omega's not coming back probably till next year. Like I don't know why
You
people
can't
think
count on him coming back ever right now.
no, you can't. But I'm like, if you're gonna give him a timeline, like seriously, it's 2025. I
Yeah.
can't believe they're even.
And again, even though because he's one of the elite, but technically not right now. I don't mind Omega the way some other people do. Like I don't have the hatred of Omega that like Cornette does, and I don't have the hatred of Omega that I do for the Bucks. Because
Yeah.
let's face it, it pretty much is hatred. It just is. Omega though, unlike his buddies, does make a difference in the ratings. He's one of the
Hmm.
few guys who demonstrably does. So obviously you want him there. But let's look at this too. What's the point of doing Okada Omega again? How are they ever going to top anything that they've done in the past at this point?
They're not. They're
Okada,
definitely
like I
not.
said, I think is already starting to break down. And Omega now has had plenty of injuries and now a major health issue, which you can't call an injury because
No.
that's not what it is.
And
you know.
I feel Okada, I feel like he's playing it safe too with like the matches he's had in AEW. They seem like very safe. So I'm not sure what the deal is or what's going on with that. It's kind of a mystery in regards to that. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just uh stuff that still needs to be
Yeah,
changed.
it's like there's a lot of people on that show who just totally suck the oxygen out of the room. The Elite, Jericho. Uh, I mean, Moxley, I guess, is still doing okay. He's apparently taking some time off right now, which is fine
Yeah,
because I don't really think he's needed, to be honest.
no, not right now.
Um, I'm not a Sasha proponent. I'm just not. I think a program between her and Britt will be fine.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Um, Everybody, there's so many people who are all up on the nuts about the Mariah May Tony Storm shit, and I saw people saying Tony Stratton's a Mariah May ripoff, and I'm like,
Yes, I've heard that too. And our friend in Ohio has also said that. And here's my counter to that. I'm
why would he say
sorry.
that? He likes Tiffany.
Um, he just thinks it's AEW's version of Tiffany, which I
No,
find a
no, no,
little.
I'm not saying Mariah's ripped off Tiffany. I'm saying people are saying Tiffany ripped off Mariah.
Oh, I heard you the opposite because
Oh,
technically speaking, Mariah's been in that character longer than Tiffany has. She's been doing
okay,
that.
but I don't see the similarities between the
Oh, no, no, no.
characters. One was
Let
like
me
the stalker, and the other one's like,
no, no. Let me backtrack because now I'm getting mixed up since you said that. Mariah May has been her character longer than Tiffany's been hers.
okay, that's fine.
So Mariah's been this character in Stardom and before because there's been people saying that like Mariah May is a knockoff of Tiffany Stratton. So you're saying the opposite, which I haven't heard that yet. So
Yeah.
and AJ thinks that Mariah is a knockoff of Tiffany Stratton. So he kind of doesn't like her because of
Yeah,
that. And I think
that
that's a
doesn't
little
surprise me
no, it doesn't. But it's a little disheartening since
because he's always
Mariah's
like that. He always
but
gets mad when if somebody he like if somebody he doesn't like he doesn't like it if somebody he doesn't like he perceives to be a knockoff of somebody he does like, and he doesn't like it when somebody he's on the fence about he perceives to be a knockoff of somebody he does like because then he starts disliking that person.
yeah, and it's a little
Okay.
disheartening because Mariah May's good. You know, she's done good stuff in Stardom. That's, you know, that's kind of how her thing was. You know, where Tiffany got her gimmick was, who knows? Maybe I'm not
Yeah.
saying she copied off of Mariah May or anybody else. She does her own thing. You know, they have two similar looks or whatever that you want to call knockoffs of each other. That's just pettiness to me, to be honest with you. And that means nothing. They're each their own character. They may have similar looks, but they're their own character in each company. That's it's a little disheartening to say that. You know, if you want to get down to nitty gritty, one had their look before the other, so
Yeah.
you know was even on the main stage. So
Now, like I mean, the Mariah Tony program, I wasn't sure if they pulled the. I still think that maybe they pulled the trigger on it a little too soon. Maybe I'm not liking where it's gone since the turn. I mean, she came out and did this promo, which people were turning off during last week, and then this week, Tony comes out behind her, takes off this mask, and has some of the worst facial expressions I've ever seen. See, that's the problem I have. I was criticizing Liv on Monday for her pouting. I just think that some of these people, and it's not just the women, the men do it too, but it seems to be more prevalent among the women because they almost feel like they have to overact.
yeah, they don't need to.
Um, Overdo it with the facials and it doesn't work. But I'm like, she was standing there like looking at her for so long before Mariah seemed to take notice that she was fucking there. So and people are like, oh, this storyline's so good. And I'm of course I'm also saying, oh, it's also a rehash of Trish Stratus and Mickey James.
Hmm.
But they'll probably never want to acknowledge that because it was fucking 18 years ago. 18 years ago! That was in 2006.
Yeah, no, long time. Don't remind me.
But just there's people on AEW I really like. I really want to see get ahead.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people on
Same,
AEW that I think it's time for them to go away.
correct. Same
Um,
here.
Everybody's saying Christian's doing the best work of his career. Not anymore. That shit's run its course. The whole family thing. I don't give a fuck about the dinosaur. I don't give a fuck about the little 19-year-old stick. And I sure as fuck don't give a shit about the 19-year-old stick's fucking mother.
Yeah, that
It's
one's
like,
kind
let me
of
wear let me wear leather every day, so I'll be a MILF.
I that storyline's kind of
It's
hasn't.
totally played out now. Once the
Yeah,
program with Swerve ended, they needed to pivot, and what they pivoted to has been who gives a fuck. I
yeah.
don't even remember what it is that they're doing now because nobody cares.
No, it's nothing relevant to be honest.
Yeah,
But
I mean, in a way, even though they were thrown together, I was glad that Team AEW was Swerve, Briscoe, Darby, and the Acclaimed because the Acclaimed are still people that you should kind of really be pushing and building around.
yeah,
Darby, for as stupid as he is, he's still got a lot of fucking charisma and magnetism. You really can't deny it.
no,
And
you
and
can't.
and I'll be honest too.
He
The
has a big
coffin
fan
drop,
base.
the coffin drop from the top of the cage through the table. I love that.
That was
As
good.
much as I make fun of the coffin drop, that one worked.
Yeah, that one was good. That was spot
Bris-
on.
Mark Briscoe, since we're apparently long past the we don't want the Briscoes on TV rumor that was there a couple years ago before Jay died, Mark Briscoe should definitely be a focal point. It's a little shitty though that he's holding the ROH championship, and you gotta. Seems like that's where he's being focused. And obviously, Swerve as the AEW champion should be a focal. Should be if not he's the champion. He should be the focal point of the show,
Correct.
and he's not
Hmm.
because they're wasting time on Jericho or they're wasting time on the Elite. The only thing that should ever possibly at this point with where they're booking right now that should be taking any of Swerve's there is MJF Osprey, and I get that because those two guys are difference makers.
Oh, 100%.
You
Absolutely.
know, it's like it's fine that they're doing the rematch at Wembley.
Yeah.
Are you going to add a stip to it?
Yeah, so I'm waiting to see if they do.
I mean, you got 4 weeks yet, but it's like after you've done an almost hour long Broadway, which okay, on the Reliving the War channel that I watched, the guy always refers to those things that look like brass knuckles, but they're not brass knuckles, but let's call them brass knuckles anyway.
Hmm. Yeah.
You did an hour long Broadway that wasn't really an hour long Broadway, but let's call it an hour long almost Broadway.
I know.
Because you
Uh,
can't call it a Broadway since there was a finish. Um, but it's like after you've done that on free TV for a pay per view, it can't just be a one on one match again. It can't.
there's gonna be some step or some
You got
gimmick
to
part
add
of.
something to it. And it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be crazy.
No,
It can
something
be
simple.
something as simple as Last Man Standing or First Blood.
Yeah. Or I don't know, create your own fucking Iron Man match, or
Well, yeah, or
pick,
do an official Iron Man match. Yeah, I would be fine with that. The problem is, though, of course, AEW can't do an Iron Man match because they already run 14 fucking matches that take 6 hours on every show.
I know, I know. They need to find something to do with that match though. But all right, let's start. Let's cut the AEW stuff because we're at the 3 hour and 12 minute mark now.
Jesus Christ. Why
We've been
didn't you
talking.
get me to stop sooner?
We've been talking for a while, so I think
Just
we
real quick, just real quick.
yes.
They've got 5 matches already announced
Mhm.
for All In,
All
which
in.
is 4 weeks from today,
They'll probably add four more.
at least. I mean, you got Tony Storm, Mariah May for the AEW Women's Championship,
Mhm.
MJF Osprey for the AEW American Championship. I should just call it the AEW United States Championship because that's what the belt pretty much looked like.
Pretty much.
Jungle Jack off Darby for the TNT Championship, Mercedes Britt for the TBS Championship, Swerve Danielson for the AEW World Championship, and obviously, of course, Paige is a little bit of an X factor with that right now. Also, don't like Camille coming in to be Mercedes Muscle because, much like throwing Seth in as the referee for the MJF, or I'm sorry, whoa, much like adding Seth as the referee for the Punk McIntyre match, it dilutes the tension, the friction, the issues between the two people who are actually wrestling.
Yeah,
When you go throw this Amazonian, for lack of a better term, woman as
I
the
like her.
bodyguard for one of the two competitors, now she's got to split her focus between the two of them.
Unless Jamie Hayter comes back.
but even then, you're diluting it. It's like
I
you
know.
should have held that shit off until after you did the match between them first. Like,
Yes, I
let's
agree with
say,
you. But
yeah,
they're gonna do the TK is gonna do what TK does, and he's gonna
yeah,
if Jamie, because I've read Jamie should be back fairly soon, and if that's the case, she's ready, then he's gonna insert her to make it the four of them. Which I don't want to go on that rant either, but yeah, that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna pull a TK, and that's what his move's probably gonna be because haters gonna get a pop too. No one's gonna hate on her. She's had multiple injuries that she's getting worked out. So she'll come back, reunite with Britt, and they'll be the face group once
mhm.
again. So, but okay, those are the matches. On that note, let's wrap this shindig up. Um,
We talked longer than the basketball teams played.
I know.
Hey, and
So
ultimately that was a nice win. They won by what was it, 26? So
yeah, I think so. So it was good. They pulled away in the second half,
so
which
like
was
I
good.
said, between what happened last week with South Sudan and then South Sudan beating Puerto Rico today, there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on that game on Wednesday afternoon.
Yep. It's gonna get some ratings.
Yep.
100%. But thank you everyone for listening. We post
Thank you for
the
listening to the
podcast.
ranting, the raving.
Yes, all that good stuff.
Sorry that we didn't have any song and dance.
Yeah, I'll add some cool graphics in for
That's
you guys.
Jeremy's purview, so blame him.
Yeah, whatever.
He's the only one that's got the dance steps down. So
Yeah, he does. I used
his
to, but
daughter's
I'm
in
not
cheerleading, so you know.
I'm not breaking out those moves anymore. I might break something. But with that being said, I'll use Jeremy's finish. Thank you for listening. And like always, I hoped you finished with us.